Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. ग्रंथा श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायण नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। श्रीमतां स्वकथा कृष्ण पुण्य श्रवण कीर्तनम् हृद्यन्तस्तु अभद्राणि विधुनोति सुरसता नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी सर्वशास्त्रादिपीयूष सर्ववैदिक सत्फल सर्वसिद्धांत रत्नाद्य सर्वलौकिक सर्वभागवत प्राण श्रीमद्भागवतो प्रभु कलिदन्तो तिदादित्य श्रीकृष्ण परिवर्तिता परमानंद पाठाय प्रेम वर्ष अक्षराय ते सर्वदा सर्वसेवाय श्रीकृष्णाय नमोस्तुते मद एक बंधु मद संगेन मद गुरुन् मद महादना मद निस्तार्क मद भाग्य मद आनंद नमोस्तुते असाधु साधु तादाइन अति नीचोच ताकरा हाना मुंचा कदाचिन मा प्रेम न रित कंथयो स्पुरः। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। Hare Krishna, everyone. So, thank you all so much for joining this Sunday morning. Today is actually a very auspicious day. It is the Guru Purnima. It is the disappearance day of Srila Sanatan Goswami. And also, today marks the first day of the first month of the Chaturmasya. Right? So, it's a very auspicious day. And today also marks the disappearance day of His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj. Okay, so we are in the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Oh, sorry, Srimad Bhagavatam, third canto, 16th chapter. The chapter is titled Jay and Vijay, Cursed by the Sages. Right? So we have come up to maybe verse number 24. So we'll start with maybe 24 and proceed. So we are, yeah.
In my notes, it seems like we just did 22. I don't know.
23 we are right now.
Oh, 23? Okay. Okay, so I can start from 22 also we'll review. Okay. So up to this point, what we have seen in this past time is how the Lord actually, after that entire episode with Jay and Vijay and the four Kumaras, the Lord actually, he glorifies the Brahmanas, right? And his glorification is to such an extent that is almost like, is this really true? Because the Lord actually makes the point. First, he says that how, if anyone hears my glories, then all his sinful reactions are washed away. But the Lord is saying that all this is because of you Brahmanas. Because of you Brahmanas, I have got the credit that if anyone hears about me, then his sins are washed away. That's the first point. Then second, he actually makes the point that actually, Brahmanas, you are so dear to me that if anyone offends a Brahmana, I would actually not hesitate to chop off my own hand because the Brahmanas are so dear to me. Right? And then third point, he actually says, is even the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord. He actually says, it actually washes off all sin. But that credit is also to the Brahmanas. He says, it's because of you, Brahmanas, that even someone can, even the potency of the dust of my lotus feet is because of you, Brahmanas. You know? And then he actually makes a point that even Lakshmi ji does not leave my service. Why? Because of my service to the Brahmanas. You know. And then he actually makes the point that those who look upon Brahmanas, cows, and any defenseless living entity. So basically the Brahmanas, the cows, the women, the children. He says if anyone sees a difference between these personalities and myself, then his vision is actually corrupted by sin. And there is actually no difference between us. And then he actually makes a point that those who are actually gladdened in the heart, those are gladdened in the heart and respect the Brahmanas. Even if they utter harsh words, they look upon them as my own self and pacify them. Is the voice okay? Otherwise, give me 15 minutes and I'll rejoin.
Voice is okay, Prabhu. Video is shaking.
Okay, so should I continue, or other option I can just like drive to work quickly? It'll take 15 minutes and I can restart. What do you suggest? Is okay?
Should we try without the video, Prabhu?
It's better. The video is better. Maybe we can continue for some time and see, Prabhu.
Okay.
Whatever works.
Yeah.
I don't see a problem with video or with audio. I don't know what. I see it okay.
That's okay. Okay, so let me know.
Yes, same here. I see same video and audio, both are clear, Prabhuji.
Okay. Okay. Someone like this says my internet is like really messed up. Nothing more. So anyway, so let's continue. So, so the Lord actually, he glorified the four Kumaras. Now, when the four Kumaras, when they heard this glorification, they are thinking, we actually committed an offense by cursing the two dear devotees of the Lord. Why is the Lord glorifying us? The Lord is glorifying us in such a way as if we have done something for the Lord. And then the four Kumaras could not understand. And then the words actually is used in the text. It says like, because the Lord's speech was Guru Artha, was very heavy with meaning. And it was Agada Gambhiram. Agada Gambhiram means it was like profound significance. It was so good, and the four Kumaras could not understand the sweetness of the words, because they say that the trace of their sin, of their, the trace of the curse to the Jay and Vijay was still there in the heart. Hence, they could not appreciate the speech of the Lord. Right? And then after that, the Kumaras, they started speaking, and they actually said, we are unable to understand what is your intention for us. You know, this entire episode happened. We actually cursed Jay and Vijay, and then, and then this entire, both felt that mood of repentance. This whole thing happened. And now, after hearing the speech of the Lord, they're still not clear, what does the Lord want us to do? Is the Lord happy with us? Or is the Lord like unhappy with us because we cursed Jay and Vijay for a very insignificant act? Right? And the Kumaras start speaking, and they actually make the point that you are saying that the dust of your lotus feet has potency because of us. Actually, that has no meaning to that. Right? So the Kumaras then actually make the point. They say that actually you're glorifying us as Brahmanas only to set an example for others. Only to set an example. Because if you don't set an example, then how will people actually appreciate the path of auspiciousness, the path of religion? How will people really appreciate that? Right? So, and then they make the point that it is only by your mercy that anyone can cross over this ocean of material existence. Then how can you say that you require the mercy of Brahmanas to actually, even give blessings? It makes no meaning. So the Kumaras are actually, so every point that the Lord said, Kumaras are actually making a counterpoint, saying that it does not make any meaning. It does not make any meaning. We cannot understand what you really intend for us. Right? And then he also made the point that Lord said that Lakshmi ji does not give up my service because I serve Brahmanas. And the four Kumaras are like, what does that mean? Lakshmi ji is your eternal consort. How can it be that because you are serving us, then Lakshmi ji does not leave you? So it does not make any sense, right? And then they make the point that Lakshmi, who is actually all the personalities, even up to Brahma, they seek a favor of Lakshmi ji, right? They are all worshipping to seek a favor of Lakshmi. And she, what is Lakshmi ji doing? She's aspiring to have that position of the king of the bees, who is actually going at the lotus feet and smelling the fragrance of the tulsi that is offered to the lotus feet. Lakshmi ji is desiring that position. So how can you say that Lakshmi ji does not leave your service because of us? It does not make any meaning. Okay, so we'll continue. and text number 22. Let's do 22 onwards. Everyone okay? Any points up to this? Is it clear? Like the whole mood of the conversation? Any comments, any points up to this point?
Prabhu, we did 22, no? 3 yugas.
We did that? Okay. Okay, so we'll quickly go through 22 if we have already covered, and then we'll proceed. Anyway, you can read translation of 22 to start off with.
Arundhati Mataji is not here yet, so Divinity Leela Mataji, you could start.
Okay. Translation. O Lord, you are the personification of our religion. Therefore, you manifest yourself in 3 millenniums, and thus you protect this universe, which consists of animate and inanimate beings. By your grace, which is pure goodness and is the bestower of all blessings, kindly drive away the elements of Rajas and Tamas for the sake of the demigods and twice born.
So basically here, they are called the Lord as Tri Yuga. We discussed this point. That why is the Lord called Tri Yuga? Because in Kali Yuga, he appears as a Channa avatar, as a hidden incarnation. Hence, it's called, he appears in 3 yugas, 3 yuga. Even in Prahlad Maharaj's teachings, in prayers, Prahlad Maharaj's prayers in the 7th canto, 9th chapter, he actually calls the Lord Tri Yuga. That you appear in 3 yuga. In Kali Yuga, he also appears, but in a hidden incarnation. And hence, he's Channa avatar. He's called Tri Yuga. And also that 3 refers through the extraordinary qualities that the Lord exhibits when he appears. And what are those qualities? Austerity, cleanliness, mercy. Why not truthfulness? Because truthfulness is always there. Even in Kali Yuga, there is some element of truthfulness is there. But these 3, he actually always comes and manifests. Right? And then further, they make the point, Dvija Devata Artham. You actually descend into this material universe to protect all moving and non-moving beings for the benefit of the Brahmanas. So you are coming down for our benefit. So how can you say that by our potency, you are actually getting anything, right? And then, so please take away. So they are making their prayer, please destroy Raja and Tama. Okay, drive away Raja and Tama, bestowing your blessings, all blessings, Varadhaya, bestowing all blessings, take away this mode of Raja and Tama. So one way, even the 4 Kumaras are actually making the point that when the 4 Kumaras got angry, they were thinking afterwards that we are known as the 4 Kumaras who are actually Brahman realized. But now our reputation as those saintly persons, as those who are Brahman realized, has been spoiled because we got angry at such an insignificant act. So now they are praying to Krishna. Actually, Krishna, you can take away that rajas that actually caused our anger. So take it away for the benefit of everyone. All right, so Prabhupada makes a point in the purport that how they became angry. So Kama Anuja, right? We discussed this. Anuja of Kama, the younger brother of Kama, lust. They became angry, and hence they are praying to the Lord that please remove this passion and ignorance so that we can actually, we will not become angry. And 23.
Latvam dvijotamakulam yadihatma gopam Gopta Vrisha Svarhanena Sasumritena Taryevanang Shyati Shivastava Deva Panta Loko Grahishyad Rishabhasya Hitat Pramanam. Karuna Mataji. Karuna Mataji? Or Kushalya Mataji?
I'm sorry, I thought it was Divya's turn.
Gopinath Chaudhary.
O Lord, you are the protector of the highest of the twice born. If you do not protect them by offering worship and mild words, then certainly the auspicious path of worship will be rejected by people in general who act on the strength and authority of your lordship.
So basically here they are saying that Yadi, right? We have seen some verses which start with Yadi and Tari. If and then. right? So what is the point here? If na dvija kulam, if you do not protect the dvija, who are the dvija, the twice born? Brahmanas. If you do not protect the Brahmanas, the highest class of twice born, the dvijas, Atma Gopam Gopta, who are worthy to be protected. And how does the Lord protect the twice born? By su arhanena and sa sunritena, by worship and along with mild words. Then what will happen? Eva nangshati Shiva pantaha. That basically they are making the point that if you do not protect the Brahmanas, then people in general will reject this path of giving respect to the Brahmanas, because agrahishya risabhya hi pramanam. What is the highest pramanam? They are actually making the point because everyone except you, O Lord, as the highest pramanam. So this is very similar to a verse in the Bhagavad Gita. Which is that verse? That if the Lord does a particular action, then that will set the example for people in general.
Yadacharya.
Yet
Shrestha.
Acharya Shreshtas. Exactly same meaning here. And here actually the Lord is saying, if I, the four Kumaras are saying that if you do not give that prestige to the Brahmanas, then who will actually give prestige to the Brahmanas? And how will that auspicious path be actually protected? Right? And hence you are actually glorifying the Brahmanas just to teach the people in general the importance of Brahmanas. Right? That is the point. So all that glorification, what the Lord has said, they are making the point that you're actually saying that to actually set the right example. Okay, Prabhupada actually in the purport makes the point. He says that acts and characters of great authorities are followed by people in general. Therefore, leaders should have ideal character. Yad yad acharit shreshtas tat tat evitarojana. So where does that verse come in the Bhagavad Gita? Actually, in the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna actually, he makes the point that even I perform my prescribed duties. Because in that section, Krishna is telling Arjun that those who are, those who have above, they have come, because he talks of like Sakam, Nishkam, and he actually makes the point that those who are free of material desires, they have elevated themselves beyond all those material desires. They do not have to, as such, do work. But still, they do work. Why? To set the right example for others. And he said, even when I come, I actually perform my prescribed duties because everyone will follow my path. Right? So here Prabhupada is making the point that people in general, they follow leaders. Therefore, leaders should have ideal character. Right? And the only way to understand the absolute truth, Prabhupada often quotes this. What is the way to understand the absolute truth? How do we understand the absolute truth?
Mahajanasya Gatasa Pantha.
Okay, so that is there. But if someone asks you directly, how will you understand the absolute truth? We actually normally what Bhagavad Gita says. Only by devotion you can actually understand the absolute. Only through bhakti you can understand the absolute truth. But where is this bhakti there? In the heart of the bhaktas. Right? So the only way to understand the Lord is through bhaktas. And how do we understand? When will the bhaktas reveal the Lord to us? When we actually come submissively and follow their instructions, follow their footsteps. And hence, Mahajano Yena Gatha Sapanta. Right? Prabhupada often quotes this. Mahajano Yena Gatha Sapanta. The only way to understand the absolute truth is to follow in the footsteps of Mahajans. And who are the Mahajans? Right? Who are the Mahajans?
12 Mahajans, like
Yeah,
Narada,
12 Mahajans
Brahma.
for sure. So in the sixth canto, Yamaraj himself is listing the 12 Mahajans, right? And then that is okay. These 12 specifically have been mentioned, but in general, we say Mahajan is one who is a pure devotee of the Lord, right? So when you follow the footsteps of these devotees of the Lord, then we can actually understand the absolute truth. Okay. And then Prabhupada also makes the point that how the Lord is called Go Brahmana Hitayacha, how he is actually giving protection to the cows and the Brahmanas. Right. Yeah. Okay. And then Prabhupada also makes the point that how Brahmanas are the best of the twice born. So Brahmanas, Kshatriya, Vaishyas are all twice born, right? So when you talk of Dvija, Dvija means one who takes birth twice. Why taking birth twice? Like even actually the birds are called Dvija. Why are the birds called Dvija? Because their first birth is when they appear in the form of an egg. What is the second birth? When they actually break out of the egg and they actually can fly. So two birds. So even birds are called Dvija. But here Prabhupada is making even Brahmanas, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas are called Dvija. Why? Because we also, generally you should have two births. First birth is a biological birth from our parents. But second birth is where we actually take initiation from a spiritual master. So hence it is actually said that the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas should all take, except the Guru, and take initiation. Why not the Shudras? Why not the Shudras? Because in general, the Shudras are considered that class of people who actually don't have that intelligence to actually study the Shastras. So for them, it is you follow the other three. You follow the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas who are Dvijas. And by that following, by serving them, you will also perfect your life. So that is a process that is actually given. Right? So Prabhupada makes a point that all these, the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas should be given special protection because they have an important role to play in the society. And of all these three, Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas, who is the best? The best of all is the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas because they, and hence they should be given special protection. Actually, they should be worshipped. The Brahmanas and the Vaishnavas should be worshipped, right? Because when their protection is performed, it is like worshipping God. So when we are, Prabhupada making the point, when we protect the Brahmanas and the Vaishnavas, then we are actually worshipping the Lord. We are worshipping the Lord. Okay. And then Prabhupada makes the point that no protection or special treatment are given to these Brahmanas and the Vaishnavas, then the whole society will be lost. Whole society. Because, it's like the head of a society. So if the head of a person is cut off, then what will the body function? Right? Similarly, the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas are the head of the society because they give spiritual knowledge to everyone, and hence they should always be given first protection. Okay, right?
Prabhu,
Yeah.
is initiation means for Dvij, to understand the Dvija word, is initiation only means Brahman Gayatri mantra, right?
Okay.
Because so why I'm saying
Oh,
is
okay.
because
Okay, you're saying that Dvija is actually first initiation, Harinam initiation, and second is Gayatri initiation. Is that Dvija?
yeah, I mean
I mean
there,
that's also, because
there,
yeah, so that is like in our ISKCON society, we have Harinam Diksha and then Brahman Diksha, right? Two initiation. But in general, it is said like, okay, first birth from parent and second birth, once you're connected with a guru, that is actually already your Dvija. Because one way that Gayatri mantra, like actually in our age, even with Harinam Diksha, can someone attain perfection? Yeah, one can attain.
yes.
One can attain, right? So that's like that one way that initiation is actually sufficient. But we have this Brahman Diksha, so we can actually worship the deities. We can actually come to that platform of directly serving the deities, doing that. So through that, we can actually attain transcendence. But the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is actually complete to take us back home, back to Godhead. So first birth to parents, second birth through initiation from a guru. Like even if you see like in Nectar of Devotion, when Rupa Goswami is talking of the most important aspects of bhakti, what is the first one? Guru Padashraya, taking shelter of a guru. Like he does not as such distinguish first initiation, second initiation. In general, the Shastras is like taking initiation from a guru, right? So that is the point.
But Prabhu, even a person who's Shudra, isn't he permitted to have initiation in the previous yugas? I mean, of course, in Kali Yuga, it's open for all. But
Kali Yuga is open for all, but in general, in the previous ages, it was not as such. The Shudras are not the people who actually study Shastra, because they don't have that level of intelligence in general. So hence it said, you just follow the Brahmanas who are learned or the Kshatriyas who actually, see, Brahmanas, they need to know because they have to give to the whole society. Kshatriyas, they need to know.
Mm.
They have to be Raja Rishi. Otherwise, how will they rule properly? Right? Vaishyas also need to know. Otherwise, how will they do business transactions? How will they live in the society? How will they actually earn money to support the Brahmanas, etc., etc. Right? But Shudras, you serve the other three classes who can be Dvijas, and by that you will actually progress in your life. Right? So traditionally, the Shudras were not given initiation. But now Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has opened the doors for everyone. Right? He actually said, what is the shloka? What's the starting? But it actually says, I don't see any discrimination. Higher or lower, no discrimination. Everyone gets access to Krishna Prem. So that's Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mood. Okay. Okay. So 24. Should we continue? Any points up to this? Okay. So 24. Let's see. There are two more verses that the Kumaras are speaking. And let's see.
Tatena bishtam iva sattvanidherviditso kshemam janaya nija shakti bhir udritare naitavatadri adhipatir pata vishvabhartus teja kshatam tvan vanatasya sate vinodaha.
Translation Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Dear Lord, you never want the auspicious path to be destroyed, for you are the reservoir of all goodness. Just to benefit people in general, you destroy the evil elements by your mighty potency. You are proprietor of the three creations and the maintainers of the entire universe. Therefore, your potency is not reduced by your submissive behavior. Rather, by submission, you exhibit your transcendental pastimes. Hare Krishna.
So here he's actually making the point. He says, Tat anabhishtam. That the Lord, you never want to destroy, you never want to destroy the path of auspiciousness. Why? Because the Lord is Sattva Nidaha. He is the reservoir of all Sattva. Right? Sattva Nidaha, another name of the Lord, is the reservoir of all goodness. If he is a reservoir of all goodness, why would he want to destroy the path of auspiciousness? And hence he actually makes a point, Viditso Shemam Janaya. And you desire the good for all people in general, right? And then further, Nija Shakti bhi udharita arehe. By your potency, you actually destroy the opposing elements. But, oh Lord, you are Tri Adhipatehe. You are the proprietor of the three creations. Vishwa Bhartur, you're the maintainer of the Vishwa, right? And Teja Shatam tu, Avanatsya. So basically, the Te Vinodaha. They say your potency is not reduced by your submissive behavior. Actually, that is just your play or your pastime or just your pleasure. Right? So Prabhupada gives examples in this purport that he says, when the Lord actually appears as a cowherd boy of Vrindavan, where he's actually, oh, if Mother Yashoda does not feed me, then I'll be so hungry. You know, I mean, the Lord is here. What does he say? You are the creator of the three worlds, right? You are the maintainer of the entire universe. So how is it the Lord is dependent on Mother Yashoda? If she does not give milk, then the Lord is hungry, you know. And then beyond that, Prabhupada actually says, he gives so many examples. He says like, the Lord's position is never reduced by becoming that cowherd boy dependent on Mother Yashoda, or by washing the feet of Sudama Brahmana. You know, if you consider that entire episode when Sudama Brahmana comes, how he is like so poor with torn clothes and his like body is all like emaciated, you know, and he's in rags. And when actually the Lord embraces Sudama, all the queens are thinking like, who is this? You know, the most opulent person is actually embracing someone just off the street, you know. And then the Lord actually invites Sudama and asks him to sit on his own bed and washes the feet of Sudama. But when Lord is doing such submissive acts or such humble acts, is the position of the Lord minimized? No, the position of the Lord. And then Prabhupada gives other examples that, and in Vrindavan, sometimes Nanda Maharaj will say, "Oh Krishna, please bring my shoes." And Krishna, as a small boy, with great difficulty, he'll pick up the shoes and he'll keep it on his head, and then bring to Nanda Maharaj and say, "Father, here are your shoes." I mean, Krishna is taking the shoes of Nanda Maharaj on his head and giving it. So Krishna, and then also, Prabhupada gives the example of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna is playing the role of a chariot driver. So when Krishna takes all these menial positions, it does not actually minimize his position, but rather it actually glorifies his real nature. This is the real glorification of Krishna, that how that Supreme Personality of Godhead is actually taking a position of humility, a position of submissiveness in relationship to his devotee. The Lord is actually getting pleasure in serving his own devotees, and that is the highest glory of the Lord. But the Lord in all positions is actually till the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is Sachidananda Vigraha, right? How does Damodar Ashtakam start? Namami Shwaram Sachid Ananda Rupam. And then, so first line, he's already making the point that what is the form of the Lord? Sachid Ananda Rupam. And then after that he says, oh, but he is actually like a small boy, and Rudantam Muhu Netra. He's crying, and when he's crying, then the mascara on his eye is all like black coming on his cheek, and his entire cheek is becoming blackish, and then he's afraid of Mother Yashoda, all this. But he established, even in that position, he's still Sachidananda Rupa. Right? So that is so even the Lord accepts all these positions that may appear like a position of humility or a lower position. He's still that Supreme Personality of Godhead. Right? So when the Lord shows all this, he's actually showing his real nature. And why is he showing this real nature? For the benefit of all conditions. So for our benefit, that when we hear that Supreme Personality of Godhead, he's taking the role of a chariot driver, or he is actually afraid of Mother Yashoda, or he's crying, then we'll fall in love with such a personality. And then we understand, oh, Krishna, that's it. I just want to know Krishna. I just want to love Krishna. I just want to go back to Krishna. Right? So the Lord is showing all his true nature just for the benefit of conditioned souls. The Prabhupada is making the point. And here the four Kumaras are saying, because the Lord has spoken such words of humility, right? In the previous section where he's saying, oh, it is only because of you, Brahmanas, that Lakshmiji does not leave me, etc., etc. So here the four Kumaras are saying that you are speaking all these words of humility, but that does not mean your position is minimized. You're still that original Supreme Personality of God. So even like between our relationship with devotees, sometimes a devotee may come and say, oh, Prabhu, I am so fallen. I am the worst of all people. Right? And he may speak words of humility. But, that's the mood of a devotee. But we shouldn't see the devotee and say like, oh, that devotee is so fallen. He just told me. Actually, the humility is the ornament of a Vaishnava. Right? And by him speaking words of humility, it is actually his real glory. Like imagine Bhakti Vinod Thakur. He's singing, Amara Jivan Sada Pape Ratha, Nahi Ko Punya Shalesha. You read the entire bhajan and you're thinking like, who is Bhakti Vinod Thakur talking about? Poro Dukha Sukhi. When I see others suffering, I feel happy. And Bhakti Vinod Thakur is saying, this is my position. Now, if someone says that Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that's his position, no, he is the topmost, like such a glorious Vaishnava. He's our Vaishnava Acharya. So, like how they are making the point, even when a Vaishnava, he actually takes an humble position, we should not consider that, oh, he's actually low and hence he's saying. We should consider that that is a glory, that humility is the ornament of that Vaishnava. Right? Okay, so next, let's go, text 25. This is the last verse that they speak.
Prabhu, just on this song, I have heard an amazing class describing this song. When the song is said, Amar Jivan Shada Paperato, Nahiko Punnerulesh is true. There is no punya, it's pure bhakti. You know?
That is the perfect view of someone who is actually saying that. Yes, the Bhaktivinoda Thakur, very nice.
And also, Paro Dukhe Sukhe verse means when they are suffering, they will realize that Krishna is the only way and to take me out of this suffering. So I became happy because they are going to hear me now.
Very interesting.
So there are many layers to this song actually.
Actually, it's even in Bhagavatam, when we hear, I guess I was reading this entire episode of Ambarish and Durvasa Muni. And Durvasa Muni, when he gets angry, he speaks like some very harsh words to Ambarish. And our acharyas, they actually take each harsh word and they translate it as a glorification of Ambarish Maharaj. So it's like throughout our Bhagavatam, even when Daksha, he comes and speaks such insulting words to Lord Shiva. That will say like, words will, like you want to speak to anyone, he speaks such insulting words to Lord Shiva. And what do the acharyas come and do? They take each word and they convert it. Oh, this is the glorification of Lord Shiva. That is the true mood of how we should see someone actually exhibiting a mood of humility or, So it's a very nice point. Thank you.
Even Advaita Acharya Nityananda Prabhu's conversation is like, my God, they are speaking so rough on each other.
Yeah. So yes, very nice. Thank you. It's the next point. Okay, so 25.
Yamvanayordamadisha bhavan vidhate vrittim vatat anuman mahi nirvyalikam amma suvaya uchito driyatam sadando yena gaso vayamayuksh mahi kilpishena.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. O Lord, whatever punishment you wish to award to these two innocent persons or also to us, we shall accept without duplicity. We understand that we have cursed two faultless persons. Hare Krishna.
Say, Adhisha, O Lord, yam va anayo damam. So whatever punishment you want to award to Jay and Vijay, or vidhateti vritim, or whatever promotion you want to give to Jay and Vijay, or they further make their point for themselves. Asmasu uchitam driyatam. Or if you award punishment to us for cursing Jay and Vijay, right? Whatever is your decision, anu manmahi nirvya likam. So this word nirvya likam is actually a key word here that we will accept without duplicity. Whatever is the Lord's desire, we will actually accept it. Right? So either you want to punish Jay and Vijay, or you want to give some blessing to Jay and Vijay, or you want to punish us for cursing Jay and Vijay. Whatever is your decision, we will actually accept that decision without duplicity. And then last they conclude by saying, Danda anagaso vayam ayun shamahi. That he actually said that we have actually cursed to anagaha. We have seen this word before. Anyone remembers? Agha, anagaha. Agha means sin, and anagaha is sinless. Right? So where was this word used before? Anyone remembers? It's actually first canto. I'll have to check, but if I remember correctly, actually, Sonakadi Rishi, they actually tell Suta Goswami, you are anagaha. Anaga. You can search on Vedabhyas, you'll find it, right? One who is sinless. So basically, four Kumars are saying that we have cursed two sinless persons. That now they have realized that Jay and Vijay have not committed any sin, but we have actually cursed two sinless people. Right? So Prabhupada actually gives an interesting purport here. He actually makes the point that those who are actually engaged in the service of the Lord cannot be at fault at any stage. Those who are engaged in service of the Lord, they cannot be at fault. And Prabhupada quotes the Bhagavad Gita verses, Apichet Sudaracharo, bhajate mam ananya bhag, sadhur eva samantavya, samyak vyavatsito hi saha, shipram bhavati dharmatma, shashvat shantim nikachati, kaunteya pratijanihi, na me bhakta pranashati. Kaunteya pratijani, you declare it boldly. Na me bhakta pranashati, my devotee will never be vanquished. So Prabhupada is actually quoting this and making a point that devotees who are engaged in the service of the Lord are actually faultless. Are faultless. And then Prabhupada, so if sometimes there is some error or by accident or some temporary arrangement, that is something which is not in line, then we should not take that very seriously. Should not take it very seriously. So from our side, the point is, the Prabhupada says that we should not find faults in those who are actually engaged in the service of the Lord. Right? We should not find faults. So we should always see in that mood of appreciation. And then, also like, from our side, we should not see any faults that, okay, a person is engaged in service of the Lord, by chance something happens, it's just like accidental mistake because of his previous condition, maybe something has happened. Let's not take that very seriously. But also we have to be careful of this statement, because we have seen certain times certain times we see like devotees, if they are repeatedly doing a mistake, then you have to be cautious and see like whether you have to keep away from the association, or you have to tell someone superior that, a person is doing so and so mistake, so they can be corrected, right? But if it is accidental mistake, then we actually can just say, okay, just because of it's just accidentally done. So what does the verse Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita? Shipram bhavati dharmatma. Very quickly he becomes righteous. Shastra shantim nikachati, attains lasting peace. Then declare it boldly, my devotee will never perish. And the previous was apiche sudaracharo bhajate mam ananya bhag. Though are actually engaged in bhajate mam ananya bhag, engaged in devotional service, ananya, unmotivated or uninterrupted devotional service, then even if they do a most abominable action, they should still be considered as a sadhu. Sadhur eva samantavya. Still you should consider as a sadhu. Okay. So we shouldn't see faults in Vaishnavas. That is a key point. That is this, I have often referred to this like 13 statements by Bhakti Saraswati Thakur. It was on one sheet. I think I've shared that sheet also before. So one of those statements is, if you want, you can write this on. It's such a nice. When faults in others misguide and delude you, have patience. Introspect. Find faults in yourself. Know that others cannot harm you unless you harm yourself. Right? So because we have a tendency to find faults, we may say, oh, this person, this devotee is doing so and so. And what is Bhakti Saraswati Thakur actually saying? That when you see faults, have patience. Right? Don't immediately just jump to a conclusion. Introspect, introspect and find faults in yourself. Say that actually, I am so faulty. How can I see faults in others? Am I really in a position to find faults with others? I myself have so many faults. Let me focus on those faults and try to purify those faults. Let me focus on my purification. Why should I find faults in others? That should be my goal. And know that others cannot harm you unless you harm yourself. What does that mean? That when we find faults in others, we are harming ourselves. But when we actually realize, oh, faults are in me, let me work on me, then we'll always be protected. So it's a beautiful point. Okay, is this point okay? This purport, like Prabhupada says, a devotee cannot be at fault. Even if something is there, it should not be taken seriously. Right? So we should also, whenever we make the statement, always say, if it is repeated faults, then we have to act accordingly. But if it is just accidental fault, then that person should be considered still saintly. Sadhur eva samantavya. So what is the last point the four Kumaras have said? That we accept whatever is your decision without duplicity. Right? So even if you want to curse us, you want to curse the four Kumaras, or you want to bless them, whatever you want to do. Jay and Vijay, you want to bless them, whatever you want to do, we accept without duplicity. So, okay. Any comments up to this point? Everyone okay? Maybe let's hear a few comments up to this point of this entire section up to this, like how the Lord spoke, glorified the Kumaras, and how the Kumaras said, we don't understand what you said, and how they glorified the Lord, and how they have accepted this position that whatever you do, be accepted.
Oh, that means by now the Kumaras they have understood that even if they have cursed, but the Lord can nullify it,
Yes. Yes.
right?
Yeah, certainly. Certainly they have, already, they just made the point that we have cursed to anagha people. They are sinless. They didn't make a mistake, and we have made a mistake by cursing them. And the Lord certainly, he can take away the curse. And the Lord
But
will actually say in the next shloka that I can take away this curse, but I will still keep it.
so I mean, since we are talking about how Yatyatachite Shrestha, so if the Lord nullifies the curse of the Brahmana at this point, not the second verse, at this point, then wouldn't it be like
Yeah.
like
Exactly. So that's why the Lord actually, next shloka, he'll make the point that I can do it, but I will not do it. Why? To keep the words of a Brahmana. Keep the words of a Brahmana. So again, Lord is actually respecting that it came from a word of a Brahmana, I will keep it. And the Lord doesn't have to do all these things, right? I mean, see, like when Hiranyakashipu, right? He asked the boon that, oh, Brahmaji, I may not be killed inside, outside, day, night, all those conditions. Does the Lord has to follow all these rules? He said, like, Brahma, you gave all these rules. I don't care for these rules. I'll just come and kill Hiranyakashipu. No, even though the Brahmaji, actually he gave that, okay, tathastu. And just to keep the word of Brahma, the Lord said, okay, you gave those boons, I will come in a form which will actually not break those rules, still come in a form that by not breaking the rules, I'll come and kill Hiranyakashipu. So Lord keeps the word of his devotee also, of Brahmana.
also he's also trying to put forward the Maryada, how we don't want to cross over, like that point of like, since Brahma is the supreme authority of this universe, we don't want to cross over.
Yes. Okay, other devotees? We have been just hearing Mataji speak. Nice points. No, really nice points. But others also you want to hear, please share some points.
Prabhuji, I really like that when Krishna exhibits his transcendental pastimes, it is for us that we fall in love with Krishna. We want to be with Krishna. We want to serve Krishna.
Like we can think about the South Indian Brahmana, right? Who was asked to read Bhagavad Gita, and that person could not read properly. And then what was the point that he was attracted? Oh, Krishna, that supreme personality of God, that has taken the role of a chariot driver for his devotee. And actually it is said that, imagine Krishna's position as a chariot driver. Like it's in the war, and they say like, in the war, there's so much noise. And, Arjuna has to tell Krishna, Krishna, right, Krishna, left. And sometimes there's so much noise that he cannot even speak. Like Krishna cannot hear. So sometimes he has to like, tap Krishna on the side, Krishna this side, Krishna this side. And Arjun had to tap Krishna, and Krishna was like, okay, this side, okay, I'll go here. He's following the instructions of his devotee. He doesn't have to do that. But that is the nature of the Lord. He loves his devotee so much that he takes pleasure in serving his devotee and following the instructions of his devotee. And that is the nature of our Lord Krishna.
Krishna, he washed the feet of Sudama with his own tears.
Yeah, so nice. Yes. Thank you. Anyone else? Any points?
But on the same point, like last week we discussed, to protect his devotee, he cut his own hand.
Yeah. Imagine the Lord saying that, if someone offends a Brahmana, I will cut off my own hand. That hand has actually committed that offense. So, yeah. Lord's love for his Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, basically. Yes. Okay, anyone else?
Prabhuji, I have an observation and then a question as well.
Yes.
So the observation is, and you mentioned it too, that we as part and parcel of Krishna, we also have small quantities of all the different characteristics that Krishna has. And one of them, like Krishna exhibits here, is position of humility, right? He takes that position of the chariot driver. He washes Sudama's feet. All those so knowing that we are part and parcel, when we do these we take this position of doing service, it also doesn't pull us down, like it doesn't degrade us in any way. So, and you made that point. So and Krishna showing these qualities, just if he didn't show it, then how would we be part and parcel? Because if we have that service attitude, it's coming from Krishna.
Yes.
So that was an observation. And
So to that point, actually, when we do humble service, when we do seva in the mood of humility, actually that attracts the mercy of the Lord. And the best example is Maharaj Pratapurudra, how he was a king, and when he started sweeping the street in front of Lord, then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "Oh, he's doing menial service, I'll give him my mercy." So that mood of humility actually attracts the mercy of the Lord, and the Lord himself gets pleasure accepting those positions. Okay, yeah, continue, Madhuri.
So that was the observation, and then the question is: so you said that we should find faults in ourselves rather than looking for faults in others. But my question is, isn't that kind of like a self-inflicting misery that we are imposing on ourselves? Like there is a fine line, right? You cannot just keep finding faults in yourself, because then you're inflicting misery on yourself, which is not necessary. Like it's a form of self-infliction of.
Actually, see, the point is, in general, bhakti itself is a part of introspection, right? And that introspection means what? That we should see that, okay, what are the flaws in me? We should be aware of it, but not that always we are thinking that, oh, I am this, I am this. And then, you should be aware that, okay, this is my fault. I get proud very easily. Or when people say something, then immediately I feel like, oh, I am so good. Those,
Right.
Maybe we should always be aware so that we can actually work on those faults, right? So it is that a difference between being aware and the other is to constantly think about. They say humility means to think less about ourselves and think more about Krishna and the devotees. Right? Think less about ourselves and saying, don't keep thinking about ourselves. Oh, I am this, I am this, I am this. Be aware of the flaws so that we can work on those faults. Not to the level that it is like discouraging us to practice.
So don't go high, don't go low either. Like don't try to become egoistic and don't try to put yourself down too much as well. It has to have a balance.
I mean, like,
Thank
just when you get some disease, I mean, you need to know what is the, oh, I have pain in my stomach. I mean, if you're not aware, then how will you take the treatment? Similarly, on a spiritual journey, we need to be aware of what are our faults so that we can work on them and then correct them. But it's a nice point. Yeah. Okay, so let's proceed. We are going to continue. 26, we'll see what the Lord replies, right? So the four Kumara has spoken to the Lord. Now let's see what the Lord says in text 26. So actually, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur makes the point that in the previous verse, when they actually say that, oh, Lord, whatever you say, we are ready to accept. And when they say that you can actually punish us, they are speaking fearfully with tears in their eyes and with shaking bodies, because they're thinking that we know now that Jay and Vijay are so dear to the Lord. And, compared to Jay and Vijay, us and the Lord, we are the ones who are like the third party here. And hence fearfully they are saying that, please, we don't want to be punished away from you. So fearfully with tears, they are saying that, okay, whatever you do, we'll accept it. But in their heart, they are still hoping that, please give us that position of devotion to you. Okay, so let's see what the Lord replies. 26.
Shri Bhagavan Vacha Eto Suretaragati Pratipadya Sadyah Samrambha Sambrita Samadhyanubhadda Yoga Bhuya Sakasham
Okay, I'll just read the last. Are you back? Bhuya shakakam upayasyata asuyova sapo maeva nimitastad aveta vipra. Okay, translation.
Hare Krishna. The Lord replied, O Brahmanas, know that the punishment you inflicted on them was originally ordained by me, and therefore they will fall to a birth in a demoniac family, but they will be firmly united with me in thought through mental concentration, intensified by anger, and they will return to me, my presence shortly. Hare Krishna.
So what is the Lord saying? Eto, these two doorkeepers. Then Surai Itara. Sura is demigods. Itara, other than the demigod, opposite of demigod. So Sura Itara, they will be born in the family of demons. Right? The Lord is making that point. They'll be born in the womb of demons. And then Sadhya. Okay, so this is very interesting. So we have heard of so many different kinds of yogas, right? What yoga is that? Karma yoga, Jnana yoga, Dhyana yoga, Bhakti yoga. Here, Krishna is saying they will engage in what kind of yoga? Samrambha, Sambrita, Samadhi, Anubhatta yoga. What is this yoga? This yoga is concentration of the mind which is intensified by anger. They're going to do that kind of yoga. That means their mind will be focused in anger, but still it is yoga. Why? Because they are going to be angry upon the Lord. They are still, that yoga means that connection, right? They're still going to be connected with me, but through that yoga of anger. Right? Okay, so that is the yoga. And then further he actually says, but after that, Bhuya Sakasham Upayasyata Asu. Asu means very quickly. Right? Where do we see the word Asu? Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Yato Bhavat. Oh, no, sorry. What's the word? Which verse did you say? No? Okay, Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga. What is this verse?
Bhakti Yoga Prayata Janati
Janati Asu Vairagyam Jnanam Tejat Ahetukam. Right? Asu, very quickly. By Bhakti, what do you get? Very quickly, you get Jnana and Vairagya. Asu, very quickly. So here he's using the word Asu. Bhuya Sakasham Upayasyata Asu. Very quickly, they will return back to my presence. And then Shapaha Maya Eva Nimitaha. This entire curse or this entire episode is actually originally ordained by me. This is all my plan. This is all my plan. That Jay and Vijay stopped you, my plan. You cursed them, my plan. Everything here is my plan. Right? Okay, now why is it the Lord's plan? So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur actually explains. He says, so Lord is saying, oh Brahmanas, your curse was actually produced by me. That you spoke this curse, it was actually my instruction that you do it. Right? And why this happen? Because these two servants of me, they are actually the greatest devotees. But they will take the nature of demons. Why? Okay, let me just read this sentence. In order to have my two servants, the greatest devotees, take on the nature of demons, though they are actually the best of the devotees, they acted unfavorably towards you and made you, who are Atmaram, angry. So even, see, so what you spoke is by me, and what Jay and Vijay did, they acted unfavorably towards you, that is also by me. And your anger, that is also by me, right? And then you curse them. All this has been done by me only, right? This is all done by me. It is not an offense of my doorkeepers or an offense committed by you. So Lord is clearly saying, it wasn't your offense or your offense. Both sides, no offense, because everything was planned by me, right? Now, immediately the four Kumaras are thinking in the mind, that why would the Lord actually put his dear devotees in the womb of demons, right? And then further, the Lord is explaining, here is the cause. Actually, Jay and Vijay, they had a desire arising from prema. From prema, they had a desire. And what was the desire of Jay and Vijay? They actually said, "O Lord of the Lords, O Lord of Vaikuntha, if your fighting instinct is not satisfied because everyone else is so weak, right? Who can fight the Lord? Right? But the Lord has that nature of fight. Like Prabhupada gives the example that sometimes a father will come to his son and say, like, small child, and say, like, let's fight. Right? And certainly a child cannot defeat the father, but the father like enjoys that mood of fighting, right? So Lord has that fighting spirit. So Jay and Vijay were saying that, oh Lord of Vaikuntha, if you're fighting, that rasa is not satisfied because everyone else is so weak. And because we are not your enemies, make us two gods unfriendly towards you, and you can have pleasure in fighting us. Since we servants cannot tolerate even a small degree of decrease in your happiness. Jay and Vijay were thinking, we cannot tolerate even if the happiness of the Lord is reduced by a small amount. And hence, for that, if your fighting rasa is not satisfied, then make us qualified to have that power to fight with you. Jay and Vijay desired that. Imagine the love of a devotee of the Lord. I mean, a devotee will never want to take a position of demon, but if the Lord is going to get a pleasure, okay, we'll take a position of a demon. We'll fight against you if that gives you pleasure. Right? And we often give this example of that story of how Krishna had a headache. Right? You know the story, right? Krishna had a headache, and Narad Muni came and said, like, oh, Krishna said, the only way you can be cured if you get the dust of a feet of a devotee on your head. And Narad Muni goes everywhere and he asks, can you give a little bit of your dust of your feet? Why? Because Krishna has a headache. If he puts the dust on his head, then he'll be cured. And devotee, what? Are feet of my dust on Krishna's head? Never, never. I cannot give it. I'll go to hell. I cannot give it. How can I do it? And when he came to the gopis were like, okay, how much do you want? They took the dust and here, take it. And then Narad Muni was like, do you know you'll go to hell by this? Your dust is on Krishna. What's there? We'll go to hell. At least Krishna's headache will be cured. So that is the mood of a devotee. A devotee here, we see Jaya and Vijay's mood. They say, we cannot tolerate even a small degree of decrease in your full happiness. Therefore, if it is required, we will become demons and we'll fight and we will give you that pleasure of fighting. So that is the mood, right? So in fulfilling the desire of his devotee, so the Lord was thinking, okay, Jaya and Vijay want to fulfill that desire of fighting. Okay, I will fulfill. But in that desire, the Lord said, I have another plan. I want to show the power of making an offense to a Vaishnava. So the Lord, the whole plan is that Jay and Vijay will come as demons. But in that, the Lord had another plan. And he was thinking that even the greatest devotees can fall from Vaikuntha because of an offense. So the power of offense, he wanted to teach all of us that how when we make an offense, it is actually such a horrible thing that even someone from Vaikuntha can actually fall down just because of that offense. Thus, it should be understood that the Lord desired to warn the sadhakas to be careful of committing offenses. Right? So the plan was Jay and Vijay come as demons, but the Lord said, like, okay, in that pastime, another lesson for all of us, that we should never commit offenses. So Prabhupada makes a point in the purport. He says, without the Lord's sanction, nothing can happen. Right? And the Lord sometimes desires to fight. The fighting spirit exists in the Lord. But there are no enemies in Vaikuntha. Right? Who will fight the Lord in Vaikuntha? Right? And hence the Lord says, okay, I'll go to the material world and fight. But who is qualified to fight the Lord even in the material world? Right? No one is as powerful to fight the Lord. Hence the Lord says, okay, I want to fight. In the material world, there's no one to qualified to fight. In Vaikuntha, no one will fight. Hence what? The only way is if my devotees from Vaikuntha come down into this material world and they are so powerful that they fight me, then I can get the joy of fighting. Right? So therefore, the Lord's desire to send them to a material world, not perpetually, but just for some time, right? And Prabhupada said, it is just like a theoretical performance, like on stage, a theater, just like a short time, like a show, they will come, they'll fight, and then they'll go back, give pleasure to the Lord and go back. So it's just a temporary thing, right? And if you see in these purports, again and again, Prabhupada makes a point. The conclusion is, no one falls from the spiritual world or Vaikuntha. So you have these two sides of the coin, ongoing debate. And then the one side will say that people don't fall from Vaikuntha. They'll just come to this chapter and say, Prabhupada, how many times in this purports? Again and again, he's making the point, no one can fall from Vaikuntha. No one can fall from the spiritual world. Right? Okay. So the only reason that devotees would come down, someone would come down from Vaikuntha, is to preach Krishna consciousness. Or in this case, to fight the Lord to give pleasure to him. That's the only case when people may come down from Vaikuntha. Like Srila Prabhupada, right? How he revealed it. Oh, I didn't want to come here. And disciples were thinking he didn't want to come to America. And Prabhupada was saying, no, I didn't want to come to this material world. But Krishna said, go down, write these books, I will take care of everything. So Prabhupada is making a point in the purport that devotees come down from Vaikuntha only for either preaching Krishna consciousness or to act in such a way to give pleasure to the Lord. Otherwise, we don't, like no one can fall from Vaikuntha. Right? So Prabhupada again makes this point. Okay. And then, Prabhupada also in this purpose mentions about how there are 5 primary rasas and 7 secondary rasas. Right? One of them is Raudra, anger. Second is Adbhuta, wonder. Then third is Hasya, comedy. Fourth is Veera, chivalry. Fifth is Daya, mercy. Then sixth is Bhayanak, horror. And then seventh is Bhibatsa, shock. So even Lord experiences these rasas of anger, chivalry, comedy, horror, shock. So these all like secondary rasas, they enhance the primary rasas. Right? So totally 12 different rasas. Okay. So this is the Lord has made the point, right? That everything here is my plan. There's no offense from that side, no offense from your side. Everything is my plan. And they will quickly come back to me by practicing this kind of yoga intensified by anger. Okay. Text 27.
Brahmovacha atate munayo drishtva nayanananda bhajanam Vaikuntam tat adishtanam vikuntam cha swayam prabham.
Hare Krishna. Lord Brahma said, after seeing the Lord of Vaikuntha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in the self-illuminated Vaikuntha planet, the sages left that transcendental abode.
So here basically it is making the point that Muneyaha Drishtva Nayana Ananda. That's a nice word. Nayana Ananda. When you see the form of Radha Golokananda, it is what? Nayana Ananda. Right? You give pleasure to the eye. So here it is saying the sages, they receive their pleasure in seeing that form of the Lord. It produces pleasure to their eyes, seeing that beautiful form of the Lord. Then Vaikuntha Adi Dhanam. Right, Swayam Prabham, that and then they decided to leave the self-eliminated Vaikuntha planets. Self-eliminated Vaikuntha planets. So, which is a verse in Bhagavad Gita that talks about the self-eliminated spiritual world? 8th chapter. Oh, sorry, not 8th, 15th chapter. Na tad bhasyate suryo, na shashanko, na pavakaha. Right? So Krishna clearly says, how does he differentiate material and spiritual world? In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, those are self-illuminated planets. So basically here Prabhupada quotes that. He says, in spiritual world, there is no need of sun, moon, or electricity. Right? They're all self-illuminated, self-sufficient. They are independent. Okay, 28.
Bhagavantam parikramya pranipatyanumanya cha pratijagmu pramudita shamsanto vaishnavim shriyam.
So before reading translation, let's see word to word. Bhagwantam parikramya. What does that mean? Parikrama, right? They actually circumambulated the Lord. Actually, this parikrama is a nice word. Krama means to walk. Right? Pari means complete. So they completely walk around, right? Parikrama. So they did parikrama of the Lord. And Prabhupada in the purport talks about importance of doing parikrama. Right? He makes a point that many temples, even in our temple, we have a path to go around Radha Golokananda. And say, like many people, 3 times we actually go around Radha Golokananda to actually show respect to the Lord. Right? Even in Nectar of Devotion, one of the 64 items of bhakti is to circumambulate the Lord, go around the Lord. Right? So even in a temple, you can actually do that. So they circumambulate the Lord. Then pranipatya. Where do we see this verse? Tadvidi pranipatena, right? Similar. Pranipatya. So pranipatya means they actually offered obeisances, right? So first they circumambulated the Lord, then they offered obeisances. Then anumanya. Anumanya means they took permission. Lord, can we return? And then prati jagmu, they return. And when they return, how were they? They pramoditaha. Pramoditaha means they're extremely delighted, right? And then sam shanto vaishnavana vaishnavim shriyam. They return with what? Vaishnava shriya. Understanding the glories of a Vaishnava. The entire episode happened, and now they are returning with what realization? That who is a Vaishnava, the glory of a Vaishnava. Okay? Let's read the translation.
The sages circumambulated the Supreme Lord, offered their obeisances, and returned extremely delighted at learning of the divine opulences of Vaishnava.
So what is the divine opulence of Vaishnava they learned here? That how the Lord, just when the curse was there, how he personally came to protect them. And that entire episode, what did they understand? That this whole thing is the Lord's plan to actually have further rasa with his devotee. That's why they are actually sent down to the material world, just to have further rasa. This is the glory of a Vaishnava. Vaishnava is always faultless. That was the point we read in the previous purport, right? That anything he's doing is actually engaged, is glorifying the Lord, giving more pleasure to the Lord. This is the glory of a Vaishnava. They understood that now. Okay. Third, 29.
Bhagavan anugavaha yatam bhaishtam astusham brahmateja samartopi hantum neche matam tume.
3:16-29. The Lord then said to his attendants, Jaya and Vijaya, depart this place, but fear not. All glory is unto you. Though I am capable of nullifying the Brahmana's curse, I would not do so. On the contrary, it has my approval. Hare Krishna.
Mm-hmm. So here the Lord is speaking now to Jaya and Vijay, and he's actually telling them, he's saying, aha, he said what? Yatam ma bhaishtim. So it's so interesting. You see these 3 words. Yatam means depart from this place. Ma means like ma suchaha, do not. And then the third word is bhaishtam. Bhaishtam means fear. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that word ma can be used for both yatam and bhaishtam. So one way the Lord is saying, you depart from this place. One way he's saying, do not depart from this place. Ma yutam, do not depart. And then, so that ma is to both. Ma yutam and ma bhaishtam. Ma yatam and ma bhaishtam. So ma bhaishtam is do not fear. Right? So he's actually sending them down to the material world. He's saying, do not fear. Right? And I'll come back to the point of what is ma yatam. Do not go from here. And then astu iyam. So let there be all good fortune unto you. Imagine someone is a spiritual world and the Lord is coming and telling that, oh, I want you to go down to Russia or United States of America. And you'll be like, oh Lord, why are you sending me down to this material world? It is like such a horrible place. Imagine leaving Vaikuntha and coming to the material world. And the Lord saying, go, do not fear. all good fortune unto you, all good fortune unto you. Brahma Teja Samartham Api Hantum. So this was a point I mentioned earlier. I am capable of Hantum, I am capable of nullifying this Brahma Teja. I am capable of nullifying the curse of the Brahmanas. But na ichha, I do not desire to do so. Because the Lord also wants to keep the word of a Brahmana. And hence he says, I can take away that curse, but I do not desire to do so. Matam tu me. On the contrary, this all has been approved by me. Right? All has been approved by me. So what does it mean? Ma yatam, that do not depart from this place. Actually, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur makes a point that it's not that Jay and Vijay, they left their position to come to this material world. It was just an expansion of Jay and Vijay that came and took the form of the three demons, three sets of demons. Jay and Vijay are there. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur actually quotes different verses from different pastimes, showing that how Jay and Vijay were still with the Lord and they were actually, serving the Lord. Different shlokas he quotes and from different pastimes, which actually says, oh, see, Jay and Vijay's name is here. So who comes down is actually the expansion of Jay and Vijay, not Jay and Vijay himself. So when we say Ma Yatam, means do not go there. Means you stay. How can I leave your association? You're so dear to me. But also we want to have this rasa of fighting. So yeah, expansions can go there and then we will experience that rasa.
Why Lord desires to fight?
Because there's pleasure in fighting. Like I gave the example, sometimes the father wants to fight with the child and just like fun, Sometimes the father will come to the child and say, okay, let's do the, arm wrestle. Like, they say, see who's stronger. I mean, there is also some rasa in that, some kind of pleasure. So,
how come Jay Vijay knows about it? That because the Lord is desiring, how they know it?
So that's why they are making the point that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying that Jay and Vijay were actually thinking that because they know how the Lord is like full of all rasa. He is Rasa Raj, right? Akila Rasamrita is full of all rasas. So they know that one of the rasas of the Lord is that mood of fighting, chivalry, right? I mentioned that rasa, chivalry, virya rasa. And the Lord will think, how will he get virya rasa? So if you want Lord to actually, to get that pleasure, make us demons. We'll take that position. Whatever, just to give you pleasure. We'll go to hell just to give you pleasure. This is a mood of a devotee.
Prabhu, I have a question.
Yeah.
So when you're saying that the expansion was there as the demons and the original were there already in the Vaikuntha, so that means were they visible to, or as Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur said, they remain in the Vaikuntha in your Swarupas. So were they visible? Because if they were actually visible to everyone, then how Brahmana's curse wouldn't have been actually, applicable in the sense like Krishna, like.
So the point there is, were they actually visible to everyone? Well, in the Vaikuntha, there is no question of time, right? So even they are going down and coming back, there is no question that, oh yeah, they went for last 20 years and now they have come back. I mean, there is no question of time. It's all eternally. So yes, they went and they came back. When did that happen? I mean, there is no time. How can you say when did that happen? It already happened. So that way, that is spiritual word. Okay. And again, in this purport, Prabhupada makes a point. It is where is it? Okay. A devotee once accepted by the Lord can never fall down. This is the conclusion of the incident. Again and again, Prabhupada is making the point. Once in Vaikuntha, you cannot fall down. Right? So we see both the sides of the purport. Okay, text 30.
Etat puraiva nirdishtam ramaya krutaya yada parapa varita dvari vishanti mayuparate. This departure from Vaikuntha was foretold by Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune. She was very angry because when she left my abode and then returned, you stopped her at the gate while I was sleeping.
So it's interesting that the shloka, that, this whole thing, And one may say, like, what is this episode? I want to know more. Then Lakshmiji left and she wanted to come back, and the Lord was sleeping, and Jain Vijay said, oh, Lakshmiji, you cannot go. You know? And the Acharyas make this point that this verse is not traditionally accepted as a verse. And hence, like, none of the acharyas give a commentary on this verse because, like, there is no elaborate commentary of what incident is being referred here. Right? So that's why, like, even Prabhupada does not mention any explanation, and we just say, like, okay, something like this may have happened, and that's why they curse, because the main reason was to give pleasure to the Lord. Right? So that point that Lakshmi ji got angry and she said, you should go down, that is not given so much importance by our acharyas. 31.
Prabhuji, one more question. You said that the devotee once accepted by Lord never falls down. Once accepted by Lord means what, Prabhuji?
Means once gone back to, once in the spiritual world, he's like with the Lord, having Leela with the Lord, then he will not fall down.
So once the soul goes to Vaikunta, that means
Yes.
accepted.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. 31.
Mai samrambha yogena nistirya brahmahelanam pratyeshyatam nikasham me kalenalpiyasa punaha.
Hare Krishna. Translation, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The Lord assured the two Vaikunta inhabitants, Jaya and Vijaya, by practicing the mystic yoga system in anger, you will be cleansed of the sin of disobeying the Brahmanas and within a very short time return to me.
So, so what do you say? What kind of yoga are they going to practice? We read this before. So same word that came in verse 26, Samrambha Yoga, yoga of anger. Right? There are so many different, now people are making so many kinds of yogas. They say hot yoga, then beer yoga. They create so many different nonsense yogas. But here we see yoga. What yoga? Samrambha, yoga of anger. And when you actually do that yoga of anger, then Nistarya Brahma Helanam, you'll be freed from that, offense to the Brahmanas. And then he says, Pratyeshatam Nishkasame, then very quickly you will actually come back to me. So by practicing that yoga of anger, you'll be cleansed of the sin of offending the Brahmanas, and then very soon, Punaha Alpiyasa, very soon you will come back to me. So Prabhupada in the purport makes a very interesting point, and he says that how Bhakti Yoga is so powerful that even if one thinks of the Lord in anger, he'll get purified. What are the examples of this? Even if someone thinks of the Lord in anger, he will get purified of all his sins.
Kamsa.
Hiranyakashipu.
All these are certainly there. That is Jai and Vijay is Hiranyakashipu. But Kamsa is one example. And then also, and then all the Shishupal, all those three demons is certainly there, right? So Kamsa was always thinking of the Lord, and he was saying that, oh, the Lord is now come to Mathura, and he just broke the bow, and then now he's going to kill me, and then I cannot eat, I cannot sleep. Oh, Krishna, 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 Krishna. He was in Krishna, Krishna 24/7. But he was doing it in a matter of fear. So hence in 7th canto, the first chapter, there are these slokas where it actually says that Kama Dvesha Bhayat Sneha Yata Bhakteshwara Manaha Avishya Tad Agham Hitva Bhavasas Tad Gatim Gataha. By lust, by hatred, by fear, by affection, or by devotion. Anyway, if someone thinks of the Lord, he will actually attain liberation. And then they give the example, right? So Vaira, they say, by enmity to the Lord, someone attained liberation. Who is that? Kamsa and Shishupala are given an example. Then Nairvarya, with bhakti, right? With devotion. And who are those? The parents of Krishna. Bhayena, with lust, with fear. The gopis who feared rejecting moral codes. The gopis who feared rejecting the moral codes, they actually attain prema by that. Bhayenava, lust. So the lust with fear, and gopis are giving the example. Lust without fear. And who are those? Like queens like Rukmini. So the point is, any kind of emotion, if you are actually somehow connecting with Krishna, that emotion will purify you. Even if that is criticism of Krishna. But if it is to Krishna, that will purify. No, I mean, that point is made, but our devotion normally, like the mood in which we want to do devotion is Anyabhilasita Sunyam, Jnana Karmani Anavritam, Anukulena. We want to do Anukul, not Pratikul. Right? We want to do in favor, in mood of service. But the point is, Bhakti, Krishna is so powerful, somehow or other, if someone thinks of Krishna, he will get purified. So here he's saying that even if you think of me in anger, by that you will get purified and you will soon come back to me. Okay. And yeah, then you can refer to 7th canto, 1st chapter. Text, the whole section talks about this. He says, Gopya Kamad Bhayat Kamso, right? The gopis by conjugal love, Kamsa by fear, Dvesha Chaitya, Shishupal and other kings by Dvesha, by envy, then Yadus by affectionate relationship, and then Bhaktya Vayam Vibho, we by devotion, right? So Yena Tasmat Kenapi Upayena Mana Krishna Niveshate. So Narad Muni is concluding that section and saying, somehow or other think about Krishna. And by thinking of Krishna, you'll get purified. Somehow or other think about Krishna. Right? And then as devotees, you want to do favorably. Okay. 32.
Dvastavadishya Bhagavan Vimana Shreni Bhushanam Sarvatishayaya Lakshmya Jushtam Swam Dishnyam Avishat.
Hare Krishna. After thus speaking at the door of Vaikuntha, the Lord returned to his abode, where there are many celestial airplanes, and all surpassing wealth and splendor. Hare
So
Krishna.
interesting point. I think Mataji, Divinity Mataji brought it last time. Where was this episode? And here it is clearly said, after thus speaking at the door of Vaikuntha, at the entrance of Vaikuntha. And Prabhupada makes the point that it's not the four Kumaras actually entered Vaikuntha. They were just at the door, And Prabhupada says, like, even we read in Durvasa Muni and Ambarish Maharaj pastime, Durvasa came to Vaikuntha. But where did he come? Just the door of Vaikuntha. Right? Not directly entering Vaikuntha. Just to the door of Vaikuntha, and then they are sent back. If they're not qualified, they are sent back. Right? So here Prabhupada stresses on this point. How could they return to the material world if they enter Vaikuntha Loka? Again, the same point. How many times Prabhupada is making the point? Say, how could anyone come to this material world if they entered Vaikuntha? So factually, they did not enter. They were just at the door, and therefore they returned from Vaikuntha. And also the airplanes Prabhupada talks about. Okay, so that is 32. So that completes this narration between the Lord and Jay and Vijay, how the Lord spoke to Jay and Vijay. And the last 4 verses is basically Brahma is just concluding that how Jay and Vijay, they fell, they lost their luster, and they are the ones who entered into the womb of Diti. And that's why you are all so disturbed, demigods. Should we just finish this next 4 or 5 verses? Right. Okay, let's continue, then we'll take a break. So 33. Everyone okay up to this point? Ready? Next few verses.
4 Kumaras did not enter Vaikuntha, Prabhu. Like I thought they got the permission, they saw the Lord and they have the bhakti inflicted. And
so they came first door, second door, third door, fourth door, fifth door, sixth door, seventh door, and then out. They didn't cross the 7th door. Nowhere we read they actually crossed the 7th door to enter into Vaikuntha. They came so close to the 7th door, and then they were actually. So we also read the point how the 4 Kumaras, they developed the mood of Shanta Rasa, not even Dasya. Why? Because of their offense to Jay and Vijay. They could not even enter the platform of Dasya, servitorship. They were just at the position of Shanta, the mood of appreciation to the Lord, awe and reverence to the Lord. Right? So unless one has the upper 4, right? So in Dasya, that is actual service, right? Then there is Sakya, there is friendship, Vatsalya, companionship, Madhurya, Rasa. So all these four are actually where one will actually enter the Vaikuntha planets and have direct relationship with them. But the last one, the Shanta, then one is just in the mood of awe and reverence. It's not so much prominent. Service is not so prominent in that rasa. Right? So hence they did not enter. They just came back from the seventh door.
Thank you, bro.
Prabhuji, but it's not there. It's a plan, right, Prabhuji?
Yeah, so
It's
it is a plan.
on their end.
Yeah, so it is a plan, yet they were actually the actors in that plan. Right? So it's very interesting. Like, how do you understand this? It was the plan of the Lord. Then why they are not allowed to get, if they were instruments in the plan of the Lord, why can't they get the higher rasa? Because in that plan of the Lord, they actually curse the devotees of the Lord. So it's like very hard to understand, like, I mean, who is like, acting here? Is it everything the Lord is orchestrating the whole pastime? So are the people who are playing the roles, are they responsible for what they do in the drama? It's all like very like yoga maya. It's like very mystical how to understand that. So it is, yes, the whole thing is orchestrated by the Lord, but the actors also, they get their, what is the thing? The result of their actions that they do in the drama.
Prabhuji, positive thing is that they were impersonalists before. But even if going to the seventh gate of Vaikuntha, they are at least personalists now. Right?
Yes, that's a good point. So from impersonalists, at least they came to personalists. Yes.
So, Prabhu, how is that? Because here, as we are seeing that Four Kumara becomes a sampradaya of making people devotees around the whole universe.
Yeah.
And Jai Vijay becomes demons, who will be cursed like always, like by general class of people. That how can you be so heinous, right? But as like in material senses, we can see that our worshipable, we say Prithu Maharaj worshipped the four Kumaras.
So because like here the point is because of four Kumars, they received knowledge from Sankarshan. Like even if you see the entire universe illustration, who's at the bottom of the universe? Anantashesh, right? Sankarshan is right there. And there you will see the four Kumaras are sitting at the bottom of the universe and they are constantly receiving knowledge from Sankarshan. So because they are a part of the link where they are receiving knowledge from Sankarshan, they pass it to others. And hence there is a Kumar Sampradaya. Jai and Vijay, they are part of a Leela where they come down, they show the Leela, they go back. But they are not playing the role of giving knowledge to others. But the Kumaras, because they are receiving knowledge from Sankarshan, they are actually giving it to others. And hence we have the Kumara Sampradaya.
Prabhuji, they don't have Swarup then? They did not enter into the Vaikuntha planet?
I mean, here Prabhupada is making the point because at this moment they did not enter. And then they just came to the gate and then they came back. So your question about Swarupa, I mean, that is like beyond. We don't even like, I mean, they have some Swarup in the spiritual world. That's not the point of discussion or the point of something that the acharyas have talked about at this point. Right now, what is the understanding? Brahma, at the time of creation, he gave birth to these four sons, four Kumaras, and then the story from that point. Beyond that, what is their position eternally in Vaikuntha? That's not I mean, it is something maybe there, but it's not a topic of discussion in this entire Leela. Okay, so let's see, 33. Let's continue. So these few verses are just like a conclusion. So Brahma is just concluding the whole pastime. Okay, 33.
Totu girvana rishabho dushtaradhari lokataha hatta shriyo brahmas shapad abhutam vikatasmayo.
Translation. But those two gatekeepers, the best of the demigods, their beauty and luster diminished by the curse of the Brahmanas, became morose and fell from Vaikuntha, the abode of the Supreme Lord.
So basically, like now Brahma is just concluding and telling the demigods that these two gatekeepers, they fell from Vaikuntha, and when they fell, what happened? They diminished in their beauty and luster, right? And they became morose, and and that was the result of the curse of the Brahmanas. Then 34. So there's no purpose to all this. It's just a storyline.
Tadavi kunta dishanad tayor nipatamana yoho hahakaro mohan asid vimana griyeshu putrakaha.
Then as Jaya and Vijaya fell from the Lord's abode, a great roar of disappointment arose from all the demigods who were sitting in their splendid airplanes.
Right. So when they fell, what happened? Vikunta Dishnath, as both of them were falling from Vaikuntha, then Hahakar, there was Hahakar. All the demigods sitting in their airplane like, oh, Jay and Vijay are falling. And there was like Hahakar all over. Okay, next verse.
Taveva yaduna prapto parshada pravaro harehe diter jatara nirvishtam kashyapam teja ulpam nam.
Lord Brahma continued, those two principal doorkeepers of the personality of Godhead have now entered the womb of Diti, the powerful semen of Kashyap Muni, having covered them.
And so here clearly saying Parshada Paravaro Hare. So this very Parshada means like Hari Parshad, we say like Parshad is what? Very important associate of the Lord. So he's clearly saying that these two important associates, dear associates of the Lord, and then when they fell down, what did they do? Ditihi. They entered into the womb of Diti. And how did they enter? Through the semen of Kashyapa Muni. Right? Now, if you see this purport, entirely opposite. Prabhupada is saying the other side of the coin. He's saying here is a clear proof how a living entity coming originally from Vaikuntha is engaged into material elements. So if someone is discussing this point, where did we come from? You'll go this side to that side, this side to that side. Prabhupada is saying, when someone comes from Vaikuntha, then what happens? He enters into a semen of a particular personality, and is covered by that semen. The soul is covered by the semen, and the semen is entered into the womb of a mother, and that's why he gets a particular kind of body, right? So, and then Prabhupada in this purport talks about importance of Garbhodhan Samskar, right? And he makes the point that how Kashyap Muni and Diti, actually both of them, we read the whole episode, right? How Diti was overcome by lust, and Cupid was tormenting her, and she came to Kashyap Muni at the wrong time, wrong circumstance. He had just finished his yag and said like, oh, I want to have union. And Kashyap Muni said, later, Lord Shiva is now, roaming. Can't you see? He's right there. Later. And she said, no, right now. And then because of that, who was born? Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, demons. And hence Prabhupada is making the point, this Garbhodhan Samskar is so important. Important, what is the state of the father and the mother when they are actually conceiving? And that state determines what kind of soul is actually attracted into the semen of the father and given into the mother. So that's why, like Prabhupada, he stressed on this point of Garbhodhan Samskar. For us, he said 50 rounds, chant 50 rounds, Hare Krishna. I mean, chant 50 rounds. Imagine chanting 16 rounds itself. We feel like purified. 60 rounds, you feel like 50 rounds, you'll be like so purified. And then when you're actually engaging in the act of union in that purified state, then who will come? Naturally, a devotee of the Lord will be attracted. So that's importance of Garbhodhan Samskar. Okay, 36. Just two more verses.
Tayor asurayor adya tejasa yamayor hivaha akshiptam teja etarhi bhagavam stad vidhitsati.
Radhika Mataji, you didn't get a chance, right? You want me to read it?
Yes, Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna. It is the prowess of these twin asuras demons that has disturbed you, for it has minimized your power. There is no remedy within my power, however, for it is the Lord himself who desires to do all this. Hare Krishna.
So here, what is Brahma saying? You came to me asking for a solution, right? What is the problem? Darkness all over because of Diti, like she's holding the pregnancy for 100 years. And Brahmaji says, what is the solution? The only solution I know is to speak Harikatha. And then he started speaking Harikatha, starting from the description of Vaikunta and the whole thing, and then the entire episode, and said, all I can do is to speak Harikatha. And then in this verse, he actually says, I do not have the power. There's no remedy within my power to actually cure this situation. Why? Because Jay and Vijay are actually superior to Brahmaji. They are the associates of the Lord from Vaikunta. And the associates of the Lord are coming down. What is Brahma's role? What power does he have to do something in this entire episode? He said there's no remedy. So what can I do? I'll just speak Harikatha. So that's what Brahma is saying, right? There's the prowess of these twins that has disturbed you, for it has minimized your power. There's no remedy within my power, for it is a Lord who desires to do all this. So everything here is happening by the will of the Lord. So I cannot do anything. The Lord himself will take care. He's organized this entire Leela. He will come, he will take care. How will the Lord come and take care?
He come as Narsingadev.
Yes, as Narsingadev, as Varahadev, and so on. He'll come and he will take care. I cannot do anything. Right? Okay. Okay, in this purport, the Prabhupada makes a very interesting point. Like towards the end of the purport, Prabhupada says that he wanted to show that even though these two attendants were coming in the form of demons, they were very powerful, greater than the demigods, right? So certainly they are greater than the demigods. No one can surpass the acts of the Supreme Lord, right? So the demigods are advised not to try to counteract this incident because it was ordered by the Lord. The whole thing is a plan of the Lord. So don't counteract it. And then he says, anyone who is ordered by the Lord to perform some action in this material world, especially preaching his glories, cannot be counteracted by anyone. The will of the Lord is executed under all circumstances. Right? Like how my Guru Maharaj often make this point, that it is there. Next 10,000 years, Sankirtan is going to spread all around the world. No one can challenge this. It is there. It is there in the Shastra. It is going to happen. It's Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. Srila Prabhupada predicted how his books are going to be the law books for the next 10,000. It is going to happen. How can we counteract it? No one can counteract it. So what can we do? The only option we have, my Guru Maharaj often used to say, only option we have is, do we want to be a part of this Sankirtan movement and be an instrument through which it is spread, or you want to be left out and suffer in this material world? That's the only choice. What is going to happen for sure, right? So Prabhupada is making the point here. Anyone, like the Lord has desired to happen, no one can counteract it. Okay. And last verse, 37.
Vishvasya yastiti layodbhava heturadyo yogeshwararapita dhuratyaya yogamayaha kshemam vidasyati sano bhagavam striyadishas tatras madhya vimrishena kiyan ihartaha.
My dear sons, the Lord is the controller of the three modes of nature and is responsible for creation, preservation, and dissolution of the universe. His wonderful creative power, Yogamaya, cannot be easily understood even by the masters of yoga. That most ancient person, the personality of Godhead, will alone come to our rescue. What purpose can we serve on his behalf by deliberating on the subject?
A very wonderful verse. Like Brahma is concluding and saying that Lord is who? He is Hetuhu. Right? We hear this word Hetu. Hetu means the cause. He is the cause of what? Sthiti, Laya, Udbhava. Sthiti, Laya, Udbhava is what? Maintenance, creation, destruction, right? The three aspects of Vishwasya, of the universe. So he is the cause of our creation, maintenance, and annihilation of the universe. And then Adya, he is the original person, Adi Purusha, right? The original personality. And Yoga, Aishwarya, Api Duratyaya. Where do we hear the word Duratyaya? Very difficult, right? What is it?
Maya Duratya.
Mama Maya Duratya. So Krishna is there making the point, my Maya is very difficult to overcome. Here he is making my Yoga Maya is very difficult to understand. Why this whole thing has happened, and to Vamshi Gopal Prabhu's question, why, they are part of the acting. So why they have to suffer? All that is a Yoga Maya of the Lord. It cannot be understood, right? So hence he says, Yoga Aishwarya Apidura. Even the masters of yogas cannot understand what is the Yoga Maya of the Lord. It is Duratya. We cannot understand, right? Shemam Vidhayasti Ya Bhagwan Tri Adisha. He is the supreme controller. He is the controller of the three modes of material nature. He himself will come and give a solution. And then the last point, what do you say? Tatra Vimrashen Kiyan Iha Arthaha. What is our purpose in deliberating on this matter? What does this mean? That there's no use in talking about how disturbing the situation is. Imagine the demigods, they actually say, oh, every day they're just talking, so much darkness, oh no, what is this? So much darkness, and they're just troubled by that, and there's, speaking of that, their focus is that. Brahma is saying, what is the use of focusing on that? It's all the Lord's plan. Focus on what? Focus on Hari Katha. That is what is the real solution. Don't focus on this, this immediate, like, oh, darkness, what to do. Don't focus on that. Focus on Hari Katha, right? So there's no use in talking about how disturbing the situation this darkness is creating, right? Just focus on Hari Katha. Right? So Prabhupada gives a very amazing purport, very powerful. When something is arranged by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one should not be disturbed, even if it appears to be a reversal. Even if it appears to be a reversal, one should not be disturbed by that, right? And Prabhupada gives that how sometimes even for preachers, they go through so many difficulties. Like recently I was talking about this when Janki Nath Prabhu, he was in UK, very strong. He became a brahmachari in manner, very powerful, like wonderful preacher. He was preaching all over. And then he started getting stomach pains repeatedly, went to the doctor, and the doctor said, like third stage cancer or fourth stage cancer. And he said, you have just like some time to live. Now, one may say like, such a wonderful devotee is preaching, he's a monk, and why is this happening? And one can just like, keep focusing on, oh no, why is this happening? Why is this happening? Why is this happening? But Prabhupada is making the point that sometimes even for preachers, there may be tribulations. And he also gives the example of Haridas Thakur. He was beaten in 22 marketplaces. Prahlad Maharaj, how much he was tortured, right? Jesus Christ was crucified for preaching Krishna consciousness, right? Seeing all these reversals, right? One should not be disturbed. Simply understand that Krishna has a bigger plan in this whole situation. Krishna has a bigger plan in this whole situation. I mean, immediately it may be very difficult to understand that why devotee is going through this. Such a nice, he's doing so much seva. We cannot understand. But Prabhupada is making a point, you understand that beyond, now I cannot understand, but I know I have faith in Krishna that this person is serving Krishna, has done so much bhakti to Krishna, he's done so much service. Certainly Krishna has a bigger plan. Certainly Krishna has a bigger plan. So that should be our faith, our conviction, right? And from the devotee side, a devotee who's going through the reversal, he should not be disturbed. He should accept that this is the mercy of the Lord. And if he continues to serve the devotee, even during those reversals, then he's assured to go back home, back to God. Such a powerful point that when we are going through such reversals, if we are continuing our sadhana bhakti, chanting our rounds, doing our devotion, then Krishna says, I assure you, I will take you back home, back to God. which is the shloka that Prabhupada is referring here. Very famous shloka. If you continue to do your devotion in spite of the reversals, then you have a guarantee of going back home, back to God.
Tatenu kampam susamikshamanam.
Bhunjana evam kritam vipakam. Ridvag vapubir vidadan namaste jiveta yo mukti padesa daya bhag. Daya bhag. Krishna is actually making the point. Actually, this is Brahmaji speaking. He says one who actually, right? Tatenu kampa, that whatever miseries one comes through, he just says, oh Krishna, this is only your mercy. And he earnestly waits for the Lord to reveal his mercy. All the while he's going through those reversals, he is actually offering obeisances to you with Rid, Vag, Vapubir, with his body, with his heart, with his mind. That person is certainly eligible for liberation. It becomes his rightful claim. Daya bhag is a rightful claim. Like in the Acharyas give the commentary that for a son to get the inheritance of this father, what should he do?
Stay alive.
Stay alive. Acharyas make the point, stay alive. If he's alive, then naturally at some point he gets the inheritance of his father. So similarly, in whatever situation, if we stay alive in Krishna consciousness, then we'll be guaranteed that inheritance of going back home, back to God. It becomes Daya Bhag, a rightful claim. It's a very powerful verse, and it is hard for us, to actually, while we are going through this reversal, understand this. That why is this happening? Why, why me? I did so much seva, or why this so and so. But beyond all this, we should have that faith. Krishna has a bigger plan that I cannot see, but I have faith that Krishna has a bigger plan. Krishna will not ignore even a little service anyone has done to him. So certainly Krishna has a bigger plan. Okay, so that completes this chapter number 16.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes.
This plan of Krishna, can we understand as the 10% which is not, you mentioned in the other class, 10% of what we get is we don't have any control. And that 10% is Krishna's plan. And the rest is how we react to it, right? You mentioned in the other class that whatever.
Yeah. So are you talking from the perspective of the person going through a tribulation, or
Yes.
or we seeing another person going through a tribulation?
Person who's going through the tribulation.
For a person who's going through tribulation, like whatever reversal come, he says that, okay, this is the mercy of the Lord. And this is the mercy of the Lord. So yes, so maybe if he's saying that 1090, as I said, that is not shastric as such, like, I heard it. But yeah, he can say like, okay, whatever is coming, that's Krishna's plan. How I respond to it is my part of it. Right? So that determines maybe 90% of the course of rest of my life. So I have to just stay alive in Krishna consciousness in spite of the reversals. I should not have the mood of finding fault with Vaishnavas or criticizing Vaishnavas. Just stay alive in my bhakti, keep continuing my sadhana, keep chanting, keep my Krishna consciousness alive, and then rest Krishna will take care. Okay. Any other points on this?
I was thinking about the love of Jaya and Vijaya, that they cannot tolerate that the happiness of our Lord is reduced even slightly. But even for that, if we have to go down and become demons, we are fine with that, to give pleasure to the Lord.
Like how the gopis are willing to give the dust of their feet to put on the head of Lord. Yeah. That's okay. The Lord's headache will be cured? Sure. Okay, any other points? Please, everyone, please share any points that you like. It's good to repeat these points, otherwise we'll forget.
Krishna cannot forget even the small service done by devotees. Yeah, even the smallest thing. Because every one of us will do little bit. Yeah, even the
Whatever little we do, Krishna is grateful. That's one of the qualities of the Lord. He's grateful. Oh, that person, he came and he swept my temple floor, oh, I'm so grateful to that person. That is the nature of love. Even once someone just come, yes, that small service, Krishna is noted. It's written it down. That person did this service for me. I am grateful to him.
Even the mistakes too. Like that.
Just
From whose side?
Mistakes too. He will remember both good and bad, right?
Who, the Lord?
Yeah.
I mean, no. The
No.
Lord sees only the good.
Only good, like Jagannath. Okay.
Like Jagannath, yeah.
Mhm.
He sees only our good. He sees like, oh, this person did little seva. Oh, I'm so grateful to him. And then maybe he has like some previous bad habits and he goes and does some sinful activity here and there. The Lord says, okay, that is his conditioning. But he did that seva. Oh, that I will make a note of. That is the nature of the Lord. He sees the least qualification of a devotee and gives him the highest benefit. That is the nature of our Lord. This is in the purport of Aho Bakiyam Sthana Kalakutam, right? In that verse, the Putana story, right? What does the purport Prabhupada say in the purport? The Lord's nature, he sees the least qualification and gives the highest benefit. What was Putana's qualification? No qualification. She came to kill Krishna. But just she came as a mother. Oh, she came as a mother. I'll give her a position as a nurse. I mean, that is the nature of our Lord. He's so merciful. So merciful. So when the Lord is so merciful, he just sees the good in a devotee. From our side, we should actually think, oh, Lord is so merciful. I want to serve to the best of my ability. Not making any mistake. I want to give 100%. That is the Lord. He's so merciful. I should give my best. That is the mood from our side. Now, in that we make certain mistakes, then how we have been reading, that one should not take so seriously. From our side, we want to improve. From others see some mistake, and don't take it very seriously.
yeah,
I
like the
also like
humility is the ornament for Vaishnavas.
Yes, ornament of our Vaishnava. Thank you. Okay, others?
Don't be too disturbed by when there's things that happen that are going wrong. Don't focus so much on that and talk about that, but focus on Harikatha and
Yeah, I mean, this is, it's easy to like, okay, like, anything there's a situation and everyone wants to like, oh, you know what happened to this so-and-so Swami? And then like everyone just keeps talking. Like, worst is Facebook, you go, and then everyone is talking. Oh, you know what this Swami did, what this person. I mean, here clearly Brahma is saying, what is the point of talking of all this? You are becoming implicated in that entire act by talking about all this. You just focus on Krishna Katha and have faith that Krishna has a bigger plan. You can pray for that person, but thank you. Okay, any other points?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, you made a powerful point mentioned by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. We should be aware that faults in ourselves can harm us, but not finding faults in others.
Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur.
Yeah. And introspecting is to balance.
When you see faults in others, be patient, introspect, be aware of our own lack and focus on those and try to improve.
Okay. So point is introspect to find balance, not to beat yourself up.
Yeah, so like, yes. So the point that I explained that, yeah, we should be aware of our faults and try to work on them, but don't be carried away by those faults and just be discouraged to the point that we are not engaging in bhakti. Oh, I am too fallen, Prabhu. I cannot go to today's Bhagavad Gita class. I am too fallen, Prabhu. I cannot go to the temple and do seva. What is this? If you are fallen, then come and do seva. If you're really thinking you're fallen, come and serve devotees. Come do Vaishnava seva. Come do seva. That is our point, right? Not the other way around. Okay. Anything else?
And one more thing I wanted to mention, that you mentioned that Prabhupada refers many times that once we go back to Dham, it's no falling back, no coming back. I like that one.
Tadhama What is it?
Nasasantam
Tad Dhama Paramam.
Paramam.
Yeah, that one, once you go to Dham, will not come back. You go back to Godha, you'll not fall down.
And that's why many devotees goes to Vrindavan and never comes back.
That is good. That's our goal. Finally, just go to Vrindavan, one-way ticket. Vrindavan. That's it. Then come back. One-way ticket to Vrindavan. That's it. Like how the story, and we don't have time, but story of Sridhar Maharaj, Prabhupada disciple, and how he was diagnosed with some very serious disease, and then Indramna Maharaj and Sridhar Maharaj, they were flying to Mayapur, and he said like, I'm just going, and then Indra Maharaj came with both the tickets. He came to the counter and he gave his tickets, and then the person said, oh, this person has only one-way ticket, are you sure? And then Maharaj also, like, he was, he was just in that act of like planning. He said, Maharaj, you have only one-way ticket. And he said, yes, one-way ticket. Back home, never come back. And they were in London and they were going to Mayapur. So that's it. And he went to Mayapur. And then, I mean, Sridhar Maharaj, if you hear about him, his sense of humor is just like everywhere. It was last stage of his life, but still he used to make jokes, laugh, and in that way. Like there's one joke which I really like, always appreciate. So he went to, once he reached Mayapur, Sridhar Maharaj, then he had all this because of his disease, like, his entire stomach was like kind of like swollen up, like, really puffed up, and his whole system was messed up. It was very serious, serious condition. And then he was like almost unconscious. And then like when he came to consciousness, and everyone was like, oh, Maharaj, how are you? And he looked at his stomach. So, is it a boy or a girl? Imagine Maharaj, like at that stage, he's like, just so close, and he's like joking and he's making a point. So, is it a boy or a girl? So that's a Vaishnava, Whatever happens, reversals. Always happy, blissful, serving Krishna and getting that bliss of Krishna consciousness. Okay, so let's take, 9:12. Let's take a quick break and then we'll just come back and we'll just start with the next chapter. Okay. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Oh, got a new book to start.
Oh, yes. We're moving on to the next section. So,
Yes.
actually, the next few chapters, 17, 18, 19, like 3 chapters. Actually, it is the story, like when I was taking the Bhakti Vaibhav class, in one class, we covered 3 chapters. Because it's very fast. Like we'll see this next chapter, chapter number 17. Like Prabhupada doesn't give elaborate purports also to, it's like very brief purpose and it's mostly a storyline. Okay. Like what is happening after, about Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, how they are growing up and when they take birth, what happens. So let's see how far we go, 17. But there's not so much to explain, more like a storyline. So we'll just continue. And maybe we can just do English translations to this. The first section of this 17th chapter is basically when Jay and Vijay, right, when they have entered into the womb of Diti and when they are born as Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, then there are very inauspicious omens everywhere. Like when Duryodhan was born, they said like what was happening? The donkey started braying. Inauspicious omen. So when Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu were born, everything was very inauspicious. So we'll read that in the first sections. Okay. So first 15 verses on that. So let's start. Text number 1.
Sri Maitreya said, the demigods, the inhabitants of the higher planets, were freed from all fear upon hearing the cause of the darkness explained by Brahma, who was born from Vishnu. Thus, they all returned to their respective planets.
One point in the purport Prabhupada does make in this is actually he makes a point that how the demigods, as soon as they hear Harikatha, what happens when we hear Harikatha? Our fear goes away. Because we hear Harikatha and we say, oh yeah, Krishna is there, he will take care. So they became free from fear. And then the other point that is actually Prabhupada mentions in the purport is that, demigods, the difference between demigods and human beings is that demigods also, they become afraid. But when they are afraid, what do they do? They turn to authority. Either go to Brahma, they normally go to Brahma and say, Brahma, you please help us. But on the other hand, when we are fearful, we don't take shelter of any authority. And hence we have to suffer. So the point that Prabhupada is saying that when you are faced with any kind of fear, turn to an authority and take shelter of him. Reveal your heart to him, right? And then the person will give you a solution. We'll speak Harikatha and then we will actually. So Prabhupada says, if we approach the authority who can actually explain the matter, then our problem will be solved. Right? So when there's a problem, when there's fear, approach a devotee and express to him. Right? So that's the point Prabhupada. Okay. But the main theme here is the demigods. They heard everything from Brahma. They say, okay, our Bhagavatam class is over. Now, time to go back home. Bhagavatam class from Brahmaji, they heard the whole Bhagavatam Katha. And then they are like, okay, now back home. Okay, back to their place. Text 2. Go ahead, English translations, everyone.
Maybe Lavanga Manjamataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. The virtuous lady Diti had been very apprehensive of trouble to the gods from the children in her womb, and her husband predicted the same. She brought forth twin sons after a full 100 years of pregnancy.
Right, so we read this, like, why was darkness spreading everywhere? Because Diti, she held those pregnancy for 100 years, right? And why did she hold it? Because she was apprehensive. She was thinking if they come, they'll cause, disturbance everywhere. And also, other things she was thinking, they'll be killed by Vishnu. So she wanted to postpone this whole thing, right? So that way, she actually was apprehensive, and hence she held the womb for 100 years. Text 3. Mohan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. On the birth of the two demons, there were many natural disturbances, all very fearful and wonderful, in the heavenly planets, the earthly planets, and in between them.
Right, so there was actually so many utpata, right? This word you may have heard before, utpat. Utpat means disturbance. So when these two, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, were born, there were disturbance not only on the Bhuvi, right, on the earth, but also in the Divi, that is the heavenly planets, and Antariksha, outer space. Everywhere, all the three planetary systems, there was disturbance, and that was causing bhaya to everyone. Okay, 4.
Why is it
Sorry,
called
Prabhuji,
wonderful?
why it is said wonderful also?
Same question.
Wonderful, not in a positive sense. Wonderful in the sense of like, amazing, like something which is beyond conceivable, right? So Prabhupada is not saying wonderful word as a positive word, wonderful as a something beyond ordinary, something so wonderful. Like normally we use it in a positive, but here Prabhupada is using that word in a negative connotation. That's something beyond, something, something that causes wonder. Right? Something that causes wonder. Now, wonder can be good or bad, right? You see something like, like a hurricane or something, and you may see like, oh, hurricane is blowing off the whole roof. Oh, how wonderful! Like, we don't say wonderful. We normally use positive, but like a scene of wonder that, oh, the wind is coming and the whole house blew away. Something like that. So, okay, text 4.
There were earthquakes along the mountains on the earth, and it appeared that there was fire everywhere. Many inauspicious planets like Saturn appeared, along with comets, meteors, and thunderbolts.
So here it's saying the earth and the mountains, they were actually shaking, right? And all the directions, it appeared that there was fire everywhere. And then Ulkaha, Ashanayaha, Ketava, meteors, thunderbolts, comets, they actually were all falling. Right? Meteors, comets, they were all falling. And this was all a cause of inauspiciousness. And Prabhupada actually makes a point in purport that when there are natural disturbance occurring, one should consider that demons have taken birth. Now in Kali Yuga, everyone is born a Shudra or a demon. That's why there's so much natural disturbance everywhere. Okay, text 5.
The blue winds, which were most uninviting to the touch, hissing again and again and uprooting gigantic trees. They had storms for their armies and clouds of dust for their ensigns.
So winds were blowing, which was actually unpleasant to touch. It was like very sharp winds, and they were making a hissing sound. Sometimes you may have experienced this when there's like a heavy wind and you can just hear like the wind blowing. And then it said like big gigantic trees were being uprooted by the wind, like a hurricane situation, And then who are the troops of the hurricane? There are storms, right? Cyclones and storms, and there's clouds of dust everywhere. So Prabhupada makes a point in the purport that as the demoniac population is increasing in Kali Yuga, there are more and more natural disturbances. Like these days, it is so extremely hot. Like for so many years in North Carolina, we have not experienced this level of heat. And people may make all these plans and say like, oh yes, global warming. And it's true, like global warming is a fact. But beyond all this, we know the reason for all this is what? Sinful reaction, sinful action. If you maintain so many slaughterhouses, you kill cows, what else would you expect? Things are going to get worse and worse and worse. More demoniac activities are performed, things are not going to get better. It's just going to go worse. And so that's what Prabhupada makes the point in the purport. 6.
317.6. The luminaries in the heavens were screened by masses of clouds, in which lightning sometimes flashed as though laughing. Darkness reigned everywhere, and nothing could be seen. Hare
Right.
Krishna.
Yeah. So it says luminaries in the heavens were screened by masses of clouds. There's so many like clouds everywhere. And in between the clouds, there was like what? Lightning. And it appears that the clouds, something they show in I don't know, some thought was coming to my mind, but the clouds are laughing at you in like a fearful way, So the lightning appeared as the clouds were laughing and saying like, oh, now death is inevitable, something like that, like 7.
The ocean with its high waves wailed aloud as if stricken with sorrow, and there was a commotion among the creatures inhabiting the ocean. The rivers and lakes were also agitated, and lotuses withered.
Right. So in the ocean, there were these strong waves, as if it was like so sorrowful that all these waves is crying, and then all the inhabitants within the ocean, they were disturbed. And even the rivers, lakes, everything was agitated. Text 8.
Misty halos appeared around the sun and the moon during solar and lunar eclipses again and again. Claps of thunder were heard, even without clouds, and sounds like those of rattling chariots emerged from the mountain caves.
So this nirgataha means there was like thunder, but no clouds. I mean, if there are no clouds, where is thunder coming from? But they were hearing all these sounds like thunder, there was no clouds, and there were eclipses, and there was a misty hollow appeared around both. See, first of all, eclipse itself is considered inauspicious. The lunar eclipse, solar eclipse, and beyond that, there's like some kind of a hollow covering the eclipse. And then from mountain caves, you had sounds like rattling of chariots, etc. 9.
Hare Krishna. In the interior of the villages, she jackals yelled potentially, vomiting strong fire from their mouths. And jackals and owls also joined them with their cries. Hare Krishna.
So she jackals were actually crying, and where antaha grameshu, within the villages, the she jackals were crying, right? And then they were vomiting fire from their mouths, right? And that word portentously means very inauspicious or very ill or very threatening cries, and that's where they were crying. Okay, text 10.
raising their necks. Dogs cried here and there, now in the manner of singing and now of wailing.
Right, so even dogs were actually barking everywhere, and everything was inauspicious. Like all these are natural disturbances that we could observe, and not only on the Earth, in higher planetary systems, and all the three worlds, everyone could actually observe these disturbances. Now imagine, like two people are taking birth. Imagine the effect of their birth, that there is disturbance in Swargaloka, disturbance in lower planets, everywhere, so much disturbance just by the birth of these two personalities, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. Text 11.
O Vidura, the asses ran hither and thither in herds, striking the earth with their hard hoofs and wildly baying.
They ran and hither and thither, and they were actually striking the earth with their hoofs, and they were braying loudly. How I made the point when Duryodhana was born, I said like asses were braying, and that itself, Vidura made that point. He said like, this is very inauspicious. Now is the time you should destroy him for the benefit of the our clan, right? You should destroy him right now. So that is a sign of inauspiciousness. Okay. So Prabhupada says that when asses are actually, Prabhupada said, asses also feel very respectable as a race. And when they run hither and thither, like when the asses are considering, oh, we are so respectable, and they are running everywhere as if they are the leaders, it is a very bad sign for the society. Right? Okay, text 12.
Frightened by the braying of the asses, the birds flew shrieking from their nests, while cattle in the cowsheds as well as in the woods passed dung and urine.
Okay, 13.
Cows terrified yielded blood in the place of milk. Clouds rained pus. The images of the gods in the temples shed tears. And trees fell down without a blast of wind.
True. Imagine the cows, instead of milk, they were actually giving blood. That was the situation. They were giving blood, right? And from the rains, it was the clouds were not pouring rains, they were pouring like pus. Horrible, disgusting. And then the deities in the temple were shedding tears. Actually, this is considered a very inauspicious sign that if the deity are shedding tears. And deities were shedding tears, and the trees were falling without even wind, the trees were falling everywhere. Okay, 14.
Ominous planets, such as Mars and Saturn, shone brighter and surpassed the auspicious ones, such as Mercury, Jupiter, and Venus, as well as a number of lunar mansions. Taking seemingly retrograded courses, the planets came in conflict with one another.
Right? So Prabhupada makes the point that how like everything in this world, they are actually under the influence of three modes of material nature. So there is something that's pious and impious. So even the planets are actually considered pious and impious. Right? Often we hear that, Prabhu, I'm going through my Saraswati, influence of Saturn. Right? That is a ill planet, right? So Prabhupada makes the point that Saturn, Mars, they are actually considered like impious, cruel planets, right? And then what are the auspicious planets? Jupiter, they say in the sign of Guru, right? Jupiter, Venus, Mercury, they are all considered inauspicious. So during this time, the inauspicious planets took over the auspicious, and they were in retrograde. We hear this also, right? Retrograde. They were in their wrong axis, or they were actually giving their inauspicious results at that time. 15.
Marking these and many other omens of evil times, everyone but the four sage sons of Brahma, who were aware of the fall of Jai and Vijay and of their birth as deities' sons, were seized with fear. They did not know the secrets of these potents and thought that the dissolution of the universe was at hand.
So everyone except Jaya and Vijay, because they knew like this is Jaya, everyone except the four Kumaras, because they knew this is Jaya and Vijay was actually taken birth. Now they know the whole story, right? And everyone was actually seized with fear, and they were thinking what? Now it is Vishwa Samplavam. Now time of dissolution of the entire universe is going to get destroyed. All these signs indicate the universe is going to get destroyed. Prabhupada makes a point in the purport. He says the laws of nature are so stringent, it is impossible for the living entity to surpass that. So once these things happen, what do we have any power to overcome this? Like, we cannot do anything. Oh, it's just so hot these days. What can you do about it? Nothing. This is a law of nature. Well, we can, the thing that we can do is we cannot do like anything directly to the sun and reduce the temperature. What we can do is, do pious activities, do chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, etc. But in general, we cannot change the laws of nature. That's the what Prabhupada is saying, right? And at present, especially in this age of Kali, these disturbances are always visible. Right? Everywhere you see this is happening. It has just become a natural thing that we see all these inauspicious planets or violence, war, everything, famine, lack of water, everything is just common. And this shows that the demoniac population has certainly increased. Right? And Prabhupada says the most important of all Vedic principles is what? And again, he brings, like one may think, the most important of all Vedic principles for this Kali Yuga would be chanting Hare Krishna. I mean, certainly that's the best thing. But Prabhupada in this purpose stresses on Garbhodhan Samskar. He said, why demoniac people are coming? Because people are having sex with a very wrong mentality. And hence more demons will be born. So if they change their mentality before they are uniting, then they will give birth to good children. And by that, there'll be a difference in the society. So Prabhupada stresses on this Garbhodhan Samskar. Okay, let's just do 3 more verses. We'll stop there. Up to 19, we can do 16, right?
Prabhuji, quick question. When it says everyone but the 4 sons of Brahma, who is everyone? So the demigods already know the story. So it's just the civilization that's on the Earth planet?
Even though I mean, you're right. Because the demigods, initially they said, the first one said that their fear went away because they knew this. So all the other living entities. But who's everyone? That's a good question. I guess like the demigods, except for the demigods and 4 Kumaras, everyone receives a fear. But even the demigods, I'm thinking, because particularly it says, except for those 4 sons. I guess even the demigods were fearful. Like one way they knew that this is happening, but just seeing the signs around, they were actually fearful that we don't know what is going to happen. We know the Lord will take care, but right now it is so inauspicious, we don't know what is going to happen. So I think that everyone includes the people on the higher, middle, and lower planet, like from Swarga Lok all the way to lower planetary systems. That's what.
Prabhuji, is it because Diti held her pregnancy for 100 years? So exactly when it happened, no one knew, excepting the 4 Kumaras. Even the demigods, they probably did not know.
That when
Because it happened after 100 years, right?
Okay. I
It
mean, the
did
whole
not happen
darkness was,
immediately.
the whole darkness was because she was holding the pregnancy in her womb, right? She was not giving birth. So hence there was darkness, and hence the demigods went, they heard the whole story. And then one can say the darkness was there because now they know that those 2 personalities, Jay and Vijay, are going to take birth as demons. So someone even powerful, more powerful than demigods are going to appear in the family of demons, and imagine how much havoc they can create. And we don't know what's that havoc. So that part they don't know. So they are fearful of what is Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu going to do now. So that could be one way of understanding.
Yeah, I was also thinking the same thing, Prabhu, that they know that the Lord is going to kill them, but they don't know the implications or the consequences towards them, how they would be,
Yeah, what kind of cruelty are they going to actually do? That's so fear was there everywhere. Okay. So just 3 more verses. Let's quickly read 16.
16. Translation, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. These 2 demons who appeared in ancient times soon began to exhibit uncommon bodily features. They had stay-like frames which began to grow just like 2 great mountains. Hare Krishna.
Okay, continue. 17.
Hare Krishna. Their bodies became so tall that they seemed to kiss the sky with the crests of their gold crowns. They blocked the view of all directions and, while walking, shook the earth at every step. Their arms were adorned with brilliant bracelets, and they stood as if covering the sun with their waists, which were bound with the excellent and beautiful girdles.
Girdles. Okay. Next was this one last one. We'll stop.
Hare Krishna. Kashyapa Prajapati, the creator of the living entities, gave his twin sons their names. The one who was born first named the Hiranyaksha, and the one who was first conceived by Diti, he named Hiranyakashipu.
So I need to explain this. The one who was born first, Hiranyaksha, the one who was conceived first, Hiranyakashipu. So who is elder? Okay, we'll discuss this next time. It's very nice explanation, but next time we'll discuss this because I don't want to end with this point. But it's very nice, fine point that we can say who is born, who is the elder one. But he gave them the name Hiranyaksha, Hiranyakashipu. Okay, so we read up to what was the inauspicious signs, and then how the brothers were growing up. They became so powerful, steel-like frames, and so powerful that they were actually blocking the sun. So huge bodies. So up to this point. And we'll see what happens. So next time we'll complete this 17, and then 18 also we can do. Like as I said, this is more of a story. So it's nice to read like a storyline, And Prabhupada also doesn't give very elaborate purports to these sections. Okay. So thank you all so much. We'll end here. Any final comments, questions, realizations you want to end with?
Prabhuji, I wanted to comment on how there's a larger reason for any hardships that we face. Like there is a meaning behind it, and we have to be we should not be disturbed by it. Now that like once there is that understanding, the knowledge, we should not get disturbed by it. And to relate to that, recently I heard a story. I don't know what is the truth behind it, but then the story was there's a Brahmana who is always taking care of his deities, and he goes every day morning, takes a dip in the river and does his prayers, and he's very, very, very humble and loyal and devoted. And then suddenly one day there are 90 people from the village who come to beat him up, and he is not able to understand why all these people are coming to beat him. And so he says, just hold on, let me go take my dip in the river, and then I'll come back and say my prayers and come back. So when he goes to take a dip in the river, he could have drowned himself, but then he prays to God and he asks, why is this happening to me? What did I do? I'm being so devoted. And the Lord says that, you have these 90 karmas that need to get rid of so that you can come to me right away, which is why they come in the form of these people who are going to beat you up. You're going to get these 90 things all at once. So just go take it and you can come back to me. So he comes back out and so that's the reasoning. So that it's just a story, but then I think it just relates to,
yes,
don't be disturbed, have faith. If you're a devotee, just have faith and go on. So it's just
very nice,
something that I remembered.
Very practical story also. Like, we can say that, oh, Krishna is taking away my karmas because he wants me to get me back to him very soon. So when we are going through a phase, we can say like, okay, Krishna is taking away my karma. Yeah. Nice point. Nice story, Mati. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Okay. Anyone else? Any final points?
Prabhuji, if we keep Krishna in the center and we hear Hari Katha, then all fear will go away.
All fear will go. Nice. Very nice. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So I like the one realization is like Lord gives what is needed for to play in that role. Like for Jay and Vijay, even though they are devotees, Lord gave them anger, to be filled in that situation. Like in one of the Bhagavad Gita slokas, like whatever is needed, Krishna gives whatever is needed to play that role. It's one of
Interesting. So it's basically like how much surrendered we are, how much we are open to be instrument in Krishna. Krishna will make us act in that way. Yeah. Nice one. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Couple of one thing is like by lust, by anger, by enemy, if one somehow or other, if one thinks about the Lord, they will be purified during the process. Thank you, Prabhuji. And Prabhuji, one question, Prabhuji, like in 16.33, in the translation it says like they became, the Jay and Vijay became morose and fell from Vaikunta. So they were eagerly they wanted to serve the Lord, so they are willing to take the demon form. But why were they morose and falling from the?
I mean, one way you can understand that in the sense that now you are living Vaikuntha, That is
Yeah.
actually the point that, they were right there with the Lord experiencing the sweetness. So even though they are now offering a service, but the service is somehow actually taking them a little bit away from their sweetness to the Lord. And hence they are actually morose.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Sometimes our service may, like imagine our guru is in town and it's like, yeah, you're having nice association. Guru says, no, I want you to go there. I mean, you're doing the service for him, but you will feel morose of that. Oh, I want to be with my guru and have his personal association. And so, yeah.
Thank you. Prabhuji, like one another question is like, the Lord wanted to have the Veera Rasa with the devotee, the Jay and Vijay in the form of demons. But why do they need to trouble so many living beings in the earthly planet? Like so many living entities are suffering. How do we understand that?
Yeah. I mean, that is, when we see like, oh, they're causing so much terror and terror everywhere, and then like, troubling all this. How can these be associates of the Lord? But how Prabhupada said, I should consider that the entire thing is just like a theoretical performance. And through that theoretical performance, because when the Lord does anything, he actually, one way has multiple purposes which are addressed. So even though these two are instruments, right, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, but what trouble they are giving to the other people, that may be just their karma. So it is just like the Lord is using them as instruments for, doing his own principle, like giving them the result of their karma. So one way we can say it is, he's just using them as instruments, but yeah. And they're getting their karma, and they're just agents through which their karma is actually coming to them. So one way to see that way. So it is not that something that they are creating, but it's just they are giving what sinful activities they have done. So
thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, I was thinking about this reciprocation between Vaishnavas, the devotees, and Krishna. They're thinking about, oh, he did not get enough of, the relishment out of the Veera Rasa. So, Lord, we can do anything for you. Knowing that their desire to participate in that rasa, it's just like, what is this reciprocation going on between you two? And we cannot understand this. My God, these Vaishnavas, and they want to do anything for it. It's just
anything to give even the slightest pleasure to the Lord.
pleasure to Krishna.
And that's why there's that shloka that Prabhupada quotes. He says, like, the activities of a Vaishnava cannot be understood. You cannot understand the activity of a Vaishnava. He may do something and you're like, why is he doing that? But there may be some inner mourning who is actually giving some rasa to Krishna.
And only Krishna knows that in his heart.
Yeah. That's why it says, like, we cannot understand the activities of our, so hence we should not find faults with them. Okay.
Prabhuji, what is an example of Krishna experiencing the horror or Bhayanaka Rasa? Like for the Virya Rasa, he's coming and fighting.
I mean, like
But
one that comes to my mind, right, immediately is like when there was the forest fire and all the cowherd men were actually in between that entire forest fire. It's almost like fear. That is more of fear. horror, right? I mean, can that be considered horror also? When like all his own cowherd boyfriends are surrounded by fire? Maybe. Is that an example? Anyway, I can see Nectar of the Ocean what example it gives, you know.
That would be interesting because, like, what is the experience? What does horror actually mean? Is like when we think of horror, we just think horror movies, right? All blood and stuff like that, killing and slaughtering. But I don't think that's what Krishna would want to.
I mean, Krishna also,
but
when he comes,
yeah,
Narsimha, what does he do? He tears
yeah.
open the stomach
Right.
of Hiranyakashipu and takes away the intestine. Imagine that, and putting over his neck as a garland. Like, I mean, like, what
Yeah.
is more ghastly than that? You know?
But it's not, he is not experiencing the horror, right? He's showing that like others around him is experiencing that horror. But then he himself, what is the experience that would cause horror in him? Like what would horrify him is like very, what could be an example
I
of
will
that?
search
Yeah.
that example.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Interesting to know.
Okay, so we'll stop here.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Prabhuji, is that in Damodar Leela, when Mother Yashoda was saving, he was scared of Mother
Fear.
Yashoda. He acted, that is, what
That-
do you consider that rasa is?
That fear is there, right? Fear
Yes.
is one of the
Right.
7 secondary rasas.
Right.
So that fear is there, but horror, we'll have to see in
Prabhu,
kind of.
Prabhu, in one class by Vedvas Priya Maharaj, he gave in Mayapur in Damodar pastime, and Krishna was horrified by seeing the stick in the hand of Mother Yashoda.
Oh.
The stick and the relationship with Mother Yashoda, Krishna was horror.
It's interesting. Actually, it is in chapter number 48. It talks about dread and ghastliness. I'm trying to think of. Oh, Kalia. Oh. Okay. Anyway, there are like some different examples. I'm just seeing through Putana is given, and then Keshi and Kalia. And ghastliness, it talks about it's a chapter 48. So I'll post something on the group. Okay. Okay, we have to stop here. 9:53. So thank you all so
Hare
much.
Krishna.
Thank you everyone for your association. Thank you for joining this morning. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vancha Kalpatarubhasya, Kripa Sindhubheva, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo. Thank you all so much. Sanatan Goswami ki jai, Guru Purna ki jai, His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj ki jai. Hare
Prabhuji, thank you so much.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu, for joining. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Thank you,
Prabhuji,
Prabhuji.
Dandavat Pranam.
Dhanavad Pranam. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Hare
Dhanavad.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.